Good evening. Good evening and welcome to our October formal board meeting. Thank you for attending and thank you for viewing us on the television. The Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District is now convened in a regular meeting on Thursday, October 10th, 2017, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve any concerns or issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in the silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. We do have a CLC member with us tonight. Danica Smithwick, will you please stand and let us applaud you? Thank you for participating. We also have a special guest, or a number of special guests with the University of Houston MBA cohort. If you're in that cohort, will you stand so we can acknowledge you as well? Thank you. We also have some Boy Scouts, and we're always so delighted that Boy Scouts come to spend some time at our meeting. Both of them are with Troop 1283. One goes to Spillane and one goes to Aragon Middle. They're working on their communications badge. Christian McGregor is with Spillane, and Ethan Jacobs is with Aragon. Will you stand so we can applaud y'all? At this time, we're going to have our invocation, and then we will have a pledge immediately after. Our invocation tonight is from Stephen Bailiff, pastor of Second Baptist Church, Cypress Campus. So, if you will please join me in standing. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I am so sorry. I'm just reading from my.
I didn't want to make Godfrey a Baptist.
It is actually Godfrey Hubert with Foundry United Methodist Church. So, Godfrey, are you here? Thank you.
I love to pinch hit. It's my best role. My best role. Let's pray. Oh God, helping people is hard. Then again, who am I telling? You've devoted yourself to helping us, reconciling us, redeeming us, providing for us, and protecting for us. Help us to do likewise for each other. God, I pray for your strength. I pray for stamina, for inspiration. I pray for patience. I pray for everything that is needed for everyone in the school district. From the teachers to the aides to those who are feeding children and cleaning up after them and those who are driving and those who are making decisions. Lord, I just pray for your protection and your guidance on them and inspire them, and may their labor be fruitful as it has been. Bless this evening. And we pray that you would be glorified in all that is said and done and even thought. We pray it in your name. Amen.
Thank you all. You may be seated. I would ask Board Member and Vice President Dr. John Ogletree to read our district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of our audience.
Thank you. Our vision statement: learn, empower, achieve, dream. And that is leading. Our mission statement: maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. And the very first thing we're going to do is get a little bit out of order. I'd like to do recognitions first because we have a number of them. And after our recognitions are completed, we will take a short break. So keep that in mind. Now, I want to point out that we're doing 2A. The board will recognize Gary Kinninger as a recipient of the 2017 Wall of Fame after being named 2016 Administrator of the Year by the Texas School Counselor Association. Roy Garcia will be doing the presentation. Sorry about that.
Mangoya. My name is Roy Garcia, Associate Superintendent for School Administration and Leadership Development. I am honored to introduce to you our sole 2017 Wall of Fame honoree, Mr. Gary Kinninger. Gary, would you please come front and stand next to Dr. Ogletree, please? Gary is a principal at Cypress Woods High School and is being honored for receiving the Campus Level Administrator of the Year Award from the Texas School Counselors Association, or TSCA. Gary was formally recognized for this award at the Texas Counseling Association 2016 Professional Growth Conference last November in Dallas. He was nominated for this distinction by the Cypress Woods High School counseling team. Gary is in his 35th year of service in education, including the last 24 years in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD, and has led the Cypress Woods community since December of 2011. He described it as an honor to be recognized by the outstanding TSCA organization that represents dedicated counselors across the state, including those on his own campus. Counselors play a vital role in the daily climate and culture of a campus, he says. I am very honored to work alongside the counseling team at Cypress Woods, who are outstanding examples of counselors across CFISD. Mary Blotsky, coordinating counselor at Cypress Woods, had this to say about Gary. He has always been supportive of the counseling team. We all share his vision of always doing what is best for our students. This year, he has decided to appoint one of our teachers to be our college and career specialist in order to expand the help to our students so they can be prepared for life after high school. We appreciate his vision in making this possible. Gary is a role model in being a servant leader. It is a true blessing to work with him. Please help me congratulate Mr. Gary Kinninger as our 2017 Wall of Fame honoree.
Mr. Kinninger, do you have some family here that you would like to introduce?
I sure do.
We'd love you to do that.
Sure. First, my wife, Kathy, is here today.
oldest of 3 sons is with us tonight, Joshua. Joshua is a 2008 CFISD Bobcat, Cypher High School Bobcat, and a 2012 Aggie. Our other 2 sons could not be with us tonight. Zachary is currently in his sophomore season at St. Houston State playing football there. And we have a 2021 Aggie at A&M that's in the College of Engineering, Nathan, our youngest son. And then also I want to recognize my work family, of course. Thank the wonderful counseling crew that nominated me for this award and got all this rolling at the state level for counselors. And then all the staff that's here, from Sidewoods and previous co-workers too from across the district. So thank you.
We did B on Monday. We recognized Cindy Madison for receiving the 2017 Heroes for Children Award from the State Board of Education. We'll move on to C, and we have a couple of 3 or 4 recognitions in a row with Leslie Francis as our presenter. C, the board will recognize ICI Construction for the donation of school supplies to economically disadvantaged students. Ms. Francis?
Thank you. President Mangoya, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry. As you well know, our business and faith-based community in Cy-Fair is second to none. From adopting schools to mentoring students and providing donations, we are so fortunate to receive additional resources to support our district, which totaled nearly $14 million last year alone. Tonight, we are celebrating 3 examples of extraordinary giving in CFISD. Our first recognition this evening is to ICI Construction and specifically Bart Cobb, its president. ICI Construction has an ongoing tradition at the completion of their construction projects of donating financial aid expressly meant for the purchase of school supplies for economically disadvantaged students. The $40,000 donation we received allows nearly 3,000 of our students across 90 campuses to have a school supply pack such as this one. And I believe we have a photo showing you one of the 13 pallets of supplies as it arrived at our distribution center last month. We appreciate this generous donation that has benefited so many students across our district. Mr. Cobb, would you please come forward? Our next recognition this evening is Memorial Hermann Cypress for their amazing sponsorship of Go Noodle Plus for our K-6 teachers, students, and parents, valued at $167,000 for this school year alone. Go Noodle Plus gets kids moving to be their smartest, strongest, bravest, silliest, and best selves. You can see on the monitors a couple of pictures of a classroom at Wells Elementary that is using Go Noodle Plus to keep students energized, engaged, and active. Short interactive movement videos and games make it simple and fun to incorporate movement into every part of the day with dancing, stretching, running, and mindfulness activities. In addition to the Go Noodle Plus sponsorship, Memorial Hermann Cypress hosted 92 of our school nurses during professional development, serving breakfast and lunch, while their registered nurse educators conducted skills competency education and demonstrations for orthopedic injuries, diabetes management, and a variety of other medical issues. At this time, I'd like the Memorial Hermann Cypress team to please come forward. We've got Kyle Stanzel, Vice President of Operations and COO, Jessica Rivas, Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer, Nicole Rydall, Director of Business Development, and Kara Kowalski, Senior Marketing and Communications Representative. And I'd also like to introduce to you our Go Noodle Plus representative here from Nashville, Kelly Hill.
Ms.
Our-
Francis, do you want to have our representative from Nashville be a part of a photo?
That
as
would be
well?
great. Y'all want to do one
One
big
more,
one?
because she came a long way.
And she's going to be at our Health Expo this Saturday for those
Oh.
of you who can come out to the Berry Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final business partner recognition tonight is Mr. Kerry Williams, General Manager of the Walmart Neighborhood Market at Longenbao, which is located near Copeland Elementary. Walmart, with Kerry's keen leadership, was instrumental in providing our Back to School Expo in August with school supplies for 1,600 students. In addition, they distributed 1,500 pounds of fresh fruit. This donation totaled over $12,000. Board recognition was already scheduled to recognize Kerry for his contribution to the Back to School Expo when Hurricane Harvey hit. No stranger to our district, Kerry visited us every day at the CFISD pod, asking what we needed, providing grocery bags, cases of water, and shopping carts. Kerry leaves each of our events telling us that Walmart is going to have an even bigger presence next time, and he has certainly been good to his word. Kerry, would you please come forward? And I'd also like to acknowledge Kerry's wife is able to join us as well. Thank you.
Just one more thing to add. You know, one of the reasons that I love Cy-Fair ISD community is not only the great teachers and principals and employees that we're honoring out here today, but it's our business partners. And you know, during a tragedy like Hurricane Harvey, I saw all of these folks there helping meet the needs of the community when we needed them most. But more than that, they're here every day. All you have to do is call any one of these folks, along with many, many others, and they respond immediately. So on behalf of the employees of Cy-Fair ISD, thank you so much. It makes me proud to live in such a community where there is opportunity for all students, but you help make that opportunity possible by all the extra work that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. It is amazing the amount of volunteer hours that are given to our district. We so much appreciate that and all the resources that are given to us. A final recognition, the board will recognize campuses who earned all possible distinction designations in the 2017 State Accountability System. Dr. Linda Macias is our presenter.
Good evening, President Mangoya, board members, and Dr. Henry. I have the pleasure this evening of recognizing our Cypress-Fairbanks ISD campuses who earned all of the distinction designations available to them in the 2016 and 17 State Accountability System. You may recall from last month's meeting that in the current accountability system, campuses have the opportunity to earn distinction designations for performance above passing star and earning the Med Standard rating. You may also recall that we shared that all of our campuses earned the Med Standard rating, and collectively they earned 217 distinction designations. So we certainly are proud of all of our campuses. In fact, the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, has noted that earning one or more campus distinction is noteworthy and should be a source of pride for the community. Distinction designations are awarded in recognition of outstanding achievement in specific areas and focus on specific criteria. For instance, the STAR components included in the distinction designation calculations are measured at the master's standard and several post-secondary readiness indicators that are also evaluated. Attendance is also one factor that can help a campus earn a distinction. However, all distinctions can be earned without the attendance component. Each campus is assigned to a unique comparison group that consists of 40 schools from anywhere in the state that closely match the target school. and all distinction designations for campuses are based on performance that is in the top quartile of that comparison group. So you can see how difficult it is to earn a distinction designation in the top quartile of that comparison group. Commissioner Morath also shared this about campuses who earned all distinction designations. He said, earning all possible distinctions is a significant accomplishment and should signal to parents that there is extraordinary work taking place on that campus. We will begin the recognitions this evening with Cypress-Parks High School and Principal Chris Hecker. So Chris, if you'll come up. In their first year, Cypress Park was eligible for 6 distinction designations because they did not have an 11th grade class to test in U.S. history. Congratulations to Cypress Park on earning all possible distinction designations in their first year. And you can see up on the screen all the different ones that they earned. So they earned 6 because that's what they were eligible for, but there are a total of 7. If you are a faculty or staff member of Cypress Park, please stand so that we may recognize you. Thank you. Langham Creek High School, Principal David Hughes. This is Langham Creek's second year to earn all distinction designations. If you are a faculty or staff member of Langham Creek High School, please stand so that we may recognize you. Anybody here? Arnold Middle School. This is also Arnold's second year to earn all distinction designations. If you're a faculty or staff member of Arnold Middle School, please stand so that we may recognize you. Hancock Elementary, Principal Alyssa Archuleta. This is Hancock's first year to earn all possible distinction designations. If you are a faculty or staff member of Hancock Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Congratulations, Hancock. Holbrook Elementary, Principal Yvette Garcia. This is Holbrook's second year to earn all distinction designations. If you are a faculty or staff member of Holbrook Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Lee Elementary, Principal Susan Epperson. I'd like to note that Lee Elementary has earned all possible distinction designations in 2013, 2014, 2015, and they're back again in 2017. If you are a faculty or staff member of Lee Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Pope Elementary, Principal Becky Coop. This is Pope's second year to earn all possible distinction designations. If you are a faculty or staff member of Pope Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. And Sampson Elementary, our final campus this evening, Principal Heather Motsney. This is Sampson's third year to earn all possible distinction designations. If you are a faculty or staff member at Sampson here this evening, please stand so that we may recognize you. Please join me in once again recognizing all of these campuses for their outstanding performance. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you. That's wonderful. We have one final recognition, and it's really not a recognition. The superintendent will make remarks and announcements, including the honors and achievements earned by staff and students in recent weeks, and then we'll take that break that I talked about. Dr. Henry?
Thank you, Madam President, trustees. Cypress-Fairbanks ISD and Lone Star College Cy-Fair celebrated a partnership that will expedite the process for obtaining a college degree at the College Academy Kickoff on October 3rd at Cypress Lakes High School. District and Lone Star College Cy-Fair administrators, CFISD Board of Trustee members, and Cypress Lakes students and staff joined in the kickoff, officially launching CFISD's College Academy pilot program. This program will give eligible students the opportunity to complete their Associate of Science degree from Lone Star College Cy-Fair before they graduate from high school. And I know there's many out there that are saying, when's that coming to our high school, since we have 12 comprehensive high schools. And over the next 2 years, we will be adding schools each year until all 12 of our high schools have this same opportunity. And the beauty of this program, and what makes it different from other school districts that are doing an early college, is we did not want our students to lose the opportunity to have the high school experience also. So students will still be able to participate in fine arts and athletics and clubs and all the activities that are important for the overall development of the student. And there's no other district that I know of that is doing that. So gaining college credit while still enjoying your high school experience, I think that's what makes Cy-Fair great and providing opportunity for all. Representatives from Houston First Baptist Church Cypress, along with principals from Bridgeland High School and Wells Elementary School, signed an adopt-a-school partnership, officially partnering the schools with the church. Houston's First Baptist Church provided staff at both schools with a celebratory lunch. CFISD's Adopt-a-School program pairs schools with community and business partners to utilize resources of the community to strengthen and enrich the quality of education for students. And like I said earlier about our business community, our faith-based community is, if not the strongest, it's the strongest one I've ever been around. In partnering with the school district, our faith-based community realizes that we are serving the same people and we have the same mission, and that's to improve the lives of children and families across this district. And I'm so proud, and I'm glad Dr. Godfrey Hubert's here this evening, delivered our invocation, and he and his congregation are huge supporters of our district, along with many, many other faith-based congregations across this community. Recently, we selected a new principal for Hemingway Elementary School, so I would like to turn, excuse me, my voice is changing. Finally. It's a season. And that was not a Aggie whoop. I just want to say that because I'm going to hook them horns. So, so I'll turn it over to Roy Garcia for introductions.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Mangoya and Board of Trustees, it's always exciting when we get to introduce a new principal to the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District learning community. Tonight, we do have a recognition for Mrs. Renee Silliman, our new principal at Hemingway Elementary School. Renee received her bachelor's and master's degree from the University of St. Thomas. She is in her 19th year in the education profession. Renee served as a fourth grade teacher in Spring Branch ISD for 8 years. She also served 3 years as a 21st Century Grant Coordinator and as a summer school district administrator in Spring Branch ISD. She joined Cypress-Fairbanks in 2009 as an assistant principal at Lee Elementary School, where she served for 6 years. She also served as an assistant principal at Francone Elementary School for 2 years. When Renee is not working, she likes to spend time with her family and shop at craft fairs. She has 2 children, Ashlyn, who is a freshman at Langham Creek High School, and Hudson, who is a 5th grader at Copeland Elementary. An interesting fact about Renee, she attended Lowry Elementary, Lyby Middle School, and was in the first graduating class at Cypress Falls High School. And Today is her birthday.
Thank you very much. It's what a great gift, right, on your birthday. President Mangoya, Dr. Henry, members of the board, I just want to say how grateful I am to be the principal at Hemingway Elementary. The students, the staff, the community has welcomed me with open arms. It truly has felt like a family from day one. As a Cypher graduate myself, it's an honor to be a leader in the district that supported and believed in me as a child. Speaking of support, I do have my family here, and I'd like to introduce them to you. I have my daughter, Ashlyn. She's a freshman at Langham. She's super excited about the Langham Creek Award. My son, Hudson, he's a fifth grader at Copeland. My dad, Neil, and my stepmother, Royanne. And I just want to recognize my fabulous mentor for years.
Madam President, and this introduction goes in line with our recognitions tonight. During the tragedy of Harvey, many heroes rose to the top, and our community just really pulled together to help and show some love and respect. And I want to just have some exemplary neighbors to stand tonight. These neighbors took in my son, his wife, and 5 daughters. And it was just an amazing act of love, and I want them to stand and recognize Jim and Zanika Shanley. Would you stand? Come on, would you give it up? They have a daughter, Zoe, who is at Cy Ranch, and have a son, Zachary, at Anthony Middle School. And the sacrifice, the love, the compassion, I tell you, words cannot express. And you all are just excellent representatives of what we see all across this district, and I thank God for you. If you can look at them, you can tell they don't look like me or my son, and so we're thankful that for the love and the compassion that you exhibited, and much love to you. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. That was beautiful. Now, we are going to take a brief break so we can come down and shake a few hands. But if you are not going to be here for the rest of the meeting, it's a great opportunity for you to have a chance to leave discreetly. So we'll see you back in 5 or 10 minutes.
Attention. Attention.
Can everyone make their way back to their seats? Or if you're discreetly leaving, will you leave the room?
Calling all board members, calling all board members.
All right, we're ready to get started. We're ready to get started.
I was about to sit in your seat.
All right, we're ready to get those doors shut, Miss Ray. There was a lot of discreet leaving at this time.
A lot of room on the front row.
All right. We're going to resume our meeting at this time. The board will recess for a public hearing. We're not actually going to recess, but we're stepping out of our meeting for a public hearing. Nicole Ray, Mrs. Ray, has forms if any patron wishes to address the board regarding the matters of concern or interest on item 1A, the public hearing about the school's first accountability rating. In conjunction with this hearing, the administration will present an oral report, and then the speakers that have comments can talk for 3 minutes, but you do have to complete a form. I'm going to ask Ms. Ray to raise her hand again, so if any of you are interested in that, please do so. All right, let's have our oral report first, and I'm not sure who's starting. Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Ms. Mangoya. Actually, Karen Smith is going to present that report for you.
Good evening. I'm here to present to you the financial integrity rating for the school district. Just like we have an academic rating, we also have a financial rating. The financial integrity rating, or FIRST, stands for Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, and it was enacted by the legislature for financial accountability. and it's to hold the districts responsible for the quality of their financial management practices as well as their financial management decisions, and then also to prove that we are providing the maximum allocation of our funds towards instruction. Cypress-Fairbanks ISD has gotten the highest rating the state gives for all 15 years since the inception of the program in 2001. The legislature enacted a change to the integrity rating system in as part of HB 5 with the 83rd legislative session. And what this did is it phased in the new process over a 3-year period of time. The first year, there was only 7 indicators, and the school district either passed or failed. Then in year 2, there were 15 indicators, and then in year 3, which is the year we're currently in right now, we still have 15 indicators, but it is much more difficult to obtain some of the points within each individual criteria, and also to get superior achievement. For example, last year, if you had a score of 70 or above, you could obtain superior achievement. This year, you had to receive a 90 or above. And although I am reporting to you in 2017, this is actually based on data from the 2015-16 school year. Districts can receive one of 4 ratings: superior achievement, or an A, B for above standard, C for meets standard, and then F for substandard achievement. And if anybody receives substandard achievement, they have to file a corrective action plan with the Texas Education Agency. And the objectives of School First was for it to be simple and understandable, and something that could be applicable to all the school districts and based on hard data. That hard data comes from student and financial information submitted through PEAMS, as well as when we submit our annual financial report to the Texas Education Agency. And it's also to analyze management efficiencies and be an early warning sign for solvency issues associated with school districts, and also to show transparency. The Cy-Fair received the highest rating on all on 14 of the 15 indicators. And then as part of what we're required to do is actually, and you should have a copy of this is the annual financial report, and we are required to, within 60 days of receiving our rating, to actually have a public hearing and disclose that in the management report. We are supposed to show how the district performed against the 15 indicators, and then also there's certain disclosures that we're required to have as part of this report. That information is the superintendent's current contract, reimbursements to the superintendent and the board, and that is in A2, which is on page 21, and then outside compensation that the superintendent may receive for consultant services, gifts of $250 more to executive officers, the board, or immediate families, and then business transactions that the district has with the board. The last 3 items, the district did not have any of those items. The report is divided up into 3 areas. It is the critical indicators, solvency indicators, and then the financial indicators. If a school district fails any one of these critical indicators here, they automatically fail first. Those critical indicators are filing the annual financial report by the deadline, which for school districts with a June 30 year end, that is November 27th. They need to have an unmodified opinion on their annual financial report, which means a clean audit report. They have to have compliance with payment of terms of all their bonded debt, which means we have no defaults on our bonded debt payments, and then timely payments to the state and federal agencies such as the teacher retirement system and the IRS, and that our unrestricted net asset balance should be greater than 0. The solvency indicators, and there are 7 of those indicators, and they're to detect early warning signs of solvency-related issues. One of the indicators, for example, that shows this is the number of days cash on hand that a school district has. And then financial competency indicators, there's 3 of those which are the last 3 that you will see in the ratings, and they indicate the district's financial management decisions and their practices. And one of those has to do with if the district had to be put on a payment plan, because what happens is your state aid comes and you're going to either be over or underpaid. It's never going to be exact. And there are school districts that have not taken into account that overpayment and are unable to pay it back in the future, because basically what happens is you have to pay it back the next year in equal payments as you receive your state aid. So as long as you have not been put on a plan, then you pass that indicator. One of the other financial solvency indicators that we like to highlight is the administrative cost comparison. You will see here that the district, over the last 5 years, and of course many years before that, we have always performed much lower than the threshold. In 2015-16, our administrative cost threshold was 3.78 compared to an allowable maximum threshold to receive the most points on the indicators, which is 10 points, of 8.55%. And the administrative cost ratio takes the cost of the district's general administration, as well as your school, as well as the instructional leadership, which is your curriculum and in your instruction area, over it's your instruction, it's your library services, your staff development, and then your counseling services. A good comparison for us to look at how we're doing is to look at our neighboring districts within the area, as well as the top 5 districts that are the largest districts in the state. You will see here Dallas, which is the 2nd largest district in the state, has an administrative cost ratio of 8.75%. Then one of our neighbors, Fort Bend, they have an administrative cost ratio of 6.86%, with Fort Worth of 6.37. And then the largest district in the state, which is Houston, is 4.96%. And then you will see on this slide that the district has continually had one of the lowest administrative cost ratios in the area as well as in the state. And I want to stress, I gave you the formula of what the administrative cost ratio is, but our actual administrative expenses, just general administration to our expenditures, is about 1.8%. So it's much lower than this actual amount here. And it's below the state average of about 3%. And with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any questions? Mr. Jackson?
Thank you for a thorough report. Certainly, I think this district should be very proud of the financial condition of this district. I remember when this district had to cut 20% of its budget over basically a 2-year period of time, and to be able to rebuild where it is today it is certainly significant, not only from a financial standpoint, but from all levels of management as well. Let us take a look at that one indicator where we did not receive maximum points. If you would, talk about what that indicator does. Is it a solvency indicator? And if so, should we have any concerns in that arena?
That's a good question. The indicator that is for the public is indicator number 8. And it's wanting to know if the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district is sufficient to support long-term solvency. And they give out a series of points on that. The maximum possible points is 10, and we received 4 points. And basically, it looks at your long-term liabilities less your net pension liability compared to your total assets. And the biggest reason that we did not get, it has to do with our debt. However, one of the other indicators is, was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service payments? And we received the maximum number of points. So I feel that there is not, it is a solvency indicator, but there's no reason to be concerned about it.
If I could add, also, as Karen mentioned, the significant portion of that ratio is due to the amount of our long-term debt. And for a fast-growth district such as Cypher ISD, it is nearly impossible for a district that is fast growth, that has to sell bonds in order to construct and renovate their facilities to be able to accommodate their student enrollment growth. It's nearly impossible for those districts to be able to achieve the maximum number of points for this particular indicator.
Thank you for expounding on that. It is one of the unintended consequences of being a fast growth district. Let's look at the issue in a little more depth. Where do we stand in terms of our fund balance? Because that's another indicator. And also, where do we stand in terms of cash and near cash on hand to meet obligations?
Our fund balance and I've actually looked at that just a minute ago, because I looked at the fund balance that we will be reporting to you next month, and we still have a 6 months worth in fund balance of expenditures, which is very good. The recommendation by Texas Education Agency and also the Governmental Finance Officers Association is between 2 and 3 months. And so we've had 6 to a little over 6 months consecutively for quite a while, for the last 3 years or so. And then we have approximately 159 days of cash on hand, which is 5.3 months of cash on hand. So that's one of the things they look at is, do you have enough cash on hand to meet your expenditures at the beginning of the school year before your tax revenues start coming in?
To put that in context, and we're reviewing now our audited financial statements for fiscal year 2017. And so that report isn't completed. It's still unaudited until we bring that to you at the November meeting. But to put that in context, those numbers are total expenditures are, if I recall, about $890 million. And our fund balance at the end of June of 2017 is $427 million. So 50% of our expenditures is represented by our fund balance. As we talk with the rating agencies, getting in, preparing for our bond sale at the beginning of November, obviously they are very, very interested in that fund balance and the trend that we have in terms of being able to increase that fund balance every year. And so when they issue their report in determining what our bond rating will be, our underlying bond rating will be, they will say that we have a very, very healthy operating fund balance.
Yes, and Mr. Snow, I found the information, and our expenditures were $862 million. And we're anticipating adding slightly over $25.7 million to fund balance for, as he indicated, about $427.5 million total fund balance.
Thank you for very thorough and detailed answers to those questions. Solvency is always an area that trustees have to look at, and this district is in exceptionally fine financial shape. And clearly the bond rating agencies, being an outside party looking at this district, are the highest source of evaluation that we can have, and we've always had the highest ratings that are in fact available. Thank you for your report. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Covey?
Karen, on the screen too, you were talking about the changes over the last 3 years and the phase-in, and you mentioned that this year 3, it's more difficult to obtain Superior. If I remember correctly, last year, were there about 50% of the districts in Texas that got Superior? I know there was a large...
Actually, it was about 80. about 80%.
And okay. And so this year, have we seen a decline in that?
You know, I actually, not that much of a decline. They still are, it's really right in that 80% range because the indicators that people seem to have trouble with were the same indicators, and they received the same score last year as they received this year, which was our case. But there has not been that much of a decline.
All right. Now, a follow-up question to that is, do other states do this type of review and analysis on the state level of all their districts?
There are financial, I guess you could say, measures and report cards that in each state that's a little bit different. I was actually recently at the Association of School Business Officials Conference, and that was one of the things they were talking about, is that all the school districts have some type of system that they have to uphold, and they are graded upon financially as well as academically.
So one of the complaints that I heard from some of the legislators were that public schools were not spending their money correctly, and they were not doing with their money what they needed to be doing, and this is proof that we actually are. And I think that's a message we need to send to the legislatures when they're looking at some of the things that they're saying they're negative against public schools. I just want to make that statement. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Covey. Any other questions, comments? All right, Ms. Ray, do we have any public? Okay, no public participation in that. Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. I did earlier introduce a cohort from University of Houston that is working on their master's program, but we also have a Houston Baptist University cohort with us working on their master's program. Would you, ladies and gentlemen, stand up for us, please? Thank you. Thank you for attending our meeting. At this time, we're going to have our board comments. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this time. I think I'll start with Mr. Jackson.
In 6 years of attending state and national conventions, I have seen many presentations that I thought were really good, including those involving Bob and Linda, and mine on fast growth and pre-K I didn't think were all that shabby. However, this past weekend in Dallas, I had the privilege of attending a presentation that was delivered by Teresa and Leslie and Mark that I considered to be the penultimate presentation I have seen in 6 years. The presentation was clearly consummate professionals at the top of their game. But more than that, in addition to the talent they displayed, was the substance of the presentation. The presentation was on community engagement. Community engagement does not happen unless you have developed it over the years. And so I'd just like to tip my hat to the three of y'all, but also recognize that all the employees of this district have had a hand in creating the success that we saw being presented to the rest of the state. As part of school visits, I visited Cypress Falls, Cy Wood, Smith Middle School, and Anthony Middle School. So much excellence in this district, it's simply amazing. Some of my takeaways that I would share with my colleagues up here: quantum learning augmented by technology, creating incremental growth for all students; differentiated learning for math at both the high school and middle school level, involving non-traditional seating, furniture, and lighting, as well as different styles from the individual teachers. Clearly, the sage on the stage has been banished in this district, and it's been gone for a very long time period. Striving for 100% participation in co- and extracurricular involvement by students, which clearly enhances academic attainment. Libraries becoming laboratories for unbounded creativity by students utilizing maker spaces. These innovations are all research-based and for the benefit of all children. It is a trademark of the success and the foundation laid by this district. And so I tip my hat tonight to these dynamic principals and their wonderful staff. I attended a meeting last night where Representative Schofield talked about the constitutional amendments that are coming up on the November ballot, and I would remind the listening audience that school board elections will be on the ballot along with those constitutional amendments, and I would ask that everybody please consider voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Hartley?
Sure. I just wanted to talk about that. I know that my colleagues up here on the stage are going to be doing lots of school visits this semester, and I know that there's so much great happenings here in the Cy-Fair district, and being though that as I'm working full-time teaching kindergarten now, I won't be able to do my school visits, and that really saddens me. That's one of my favorite parts of being a part of the board, but I just want all the principals to know that I am there with you, and want all the teachers to know, like I said before, I feel ya. I feel like I am getting to know, I'm gathering knowledge that none of these other colleagues will be able to know, representing the school district. So just wanted to give a shout out to all the principals and staff, and thank you for the great job you're doing.
Thank you, Ms. Hartley. Dr. Ogletree?
Yes, I echo Tom in the great presentations from our district. Actually, there were three. Dylan and had a presentation, and also Linda and Bob, and then the one that Tom mentioned. When we go to conferences, is a possibility of learning something new, but there is also the possibility of confirming that what you're doing is exemplary, what you're doing to better the lives of children, that we're on the right track. And Hill Harper was one of the keynote speakers there, and he challenged the educators across the state to not rest on their laurels, that no matter what they are doing and have done, that they must keep striving to be better. And that really resonated with me, and because I see our district in that same mindset, that we're always striving to be better. He challenged the educators that if there's one child dropping out, you can't rest on your laurels. If there is any child that's being incarcerated, you got to keep striving to be better. And I shared that with Dr. Henry. I think that really speaks as to what this district is about. And I will say this too. I don't know if this is the last board meeting before we have an election. We do have an election in November, and I would like to really challenge every resident to vote. We have a contested candidate for our board, and I don't think I'm allowed to tell you who to vote for, but vote. And I will just say this: representing students is a trust. And you should want someone in that office who you can trust, who you know, who without any doubt you know that this person wants the best for this district, knows this district, loves this district, and has and will give all for the district. So whatever you do in November, vote.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Ms. Blacksher?
First of all, last board meeting, we were just in our first week of school, and so now that we have, I guess, about 4 weeks behind us, I just want to commend all of our campuses and administrators, our bus barns, our food service workers, all those who take care of our kids. While it was definitely not your typical start to the school year, I see that it was a very good start nonetheless, and I just want to commend all of you who were responsible for seeing that our kids who had their challenges, and some were displaced, many were displaced, and teachers had and staff had challenges with the storm, but nonetheless, every principal that I've spoken with has talked about what a great start it was and smooth to the school year, so I commend you for that. And as Tom mentioned, the sessions at TASB, it definitely is heartwarming when you go to your state trade association conference and see how many of our administrators and personnel are presenting. And it tells you that we definitely are doing a number of things right here in Cypher ISD. Linda, Dr. Macias, and Bob's session on our Camp Summit, you could just see the people in the room, all the interest that it sparked, a different way of helping our elementary students who have their challenges in learning how to read. It was a great session. And then, unfortunately, I didn't attend Dylan's session, but as Tom had mentioned, the session by Leslie Francis and Teresa Hull and Dr. Henry on our marketing campaign. Gosh, just looking around the room, you could just see people's minds turning with all the information they were receiving and all the great things we were doing in Cypher, and I think it gave them some ideas to take back to their own district of what they can be doing differently there to tell the story of their school district. And after all, that's what it's all about, is just informing our stakeholders about the things that are going on in Cypher ISD. Not everyone has a student or a grandchild who is a student, so it's important, certainly, that all of our stakeholders know what we're accomplishing in our school district and the importance of public education. But I really appreciate, Dr. Henry, the opportunity to attend the TASB conference, still being the newbie on the board. You continually learn how much more there is to learn. So I thank you for that opportunity.
Thank
and
you,
I encourage everyone to vote as well.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Mr. Ryan?
What was amazing about Leslie and Teresa and Mark's session, so you guys just know, it was like at 8 in the morning or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And usually, I will tell you, after going to numerous conferences, school board members tend to not get up and go to 8 o'clock session. And so I was trying to prep them. I said, yeah, guys, you might have about 8 people, and it might be the 8 of us. And it was packed. And they really did a remarkable job, which was, I knew they would, but it just, it's nice to see when your own district's highlighted like that, and that so many people were excited about what we were doing. And then looking out tonight, it reminded me that all the pink shirts that we have in the audience, and we still have some pink shirts, and Dr. O has the pink on. Darcy and Bob and I went to a luncheon this week, and our state rep, Dr. Oliverson, was speaking, and before he spoke, he reminded everyone that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the importance of pre-screening. And then seeing all those shirts tonight and knowing how many employees we have that have been impacted with cancer, and then but then to see how our campuses with the pink out games, with all the stuff that they do,
I mean, we really have some compassionate kids out there, which is really amazing to see. And I know when my kids were going through school, I had a lot of pink shirts too that we had to buy. But it's raising money, and it's letting our students know the importance of caring for others. So I'm really grateful for those campuses that participate in activities like that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Mr. Covey?
I'd really like the minutes to show that this is one of the first times I've heard Don be extremely serious in one of these. But that was a very good presentation, Don. Thank you.
Had to be touchy for you.
I had the opportunity to serve on the TASB committee that chooses Superintendent of the Year. And in August, we interviewed 19 superintendents of the 20 regions. It's amazing the leadership that we've got across this state. And it was a reaffirmation that our superintendent could easily win that, and he stands out among all of them. As far as I'm concerned, he's a tremendous leader. But I will say that the lady that we chose was Dr. Gori out of Lufkin, and her story to me was what resonated the most with me, in that she was a child born to a 15-year-old mother who her grandmother raised her. She said she went to a public school education that told her she could do whatever she wanted to. She was smart enough. She had a teacher in elementary and a teacher in middle and high school that stood out in telling her, you can do this and you can do it well. And she went on to get her doctorate, and she's a very successful superintendent. But the one thing that I really thought was cool when we were interviewing her, and we talked to her about, when you got the position, what was one of your biggest challenges? And she said that one of the board members told her, when you get hired, 50% of this community are going to be excited and 50% will not be. And we asked her, what do you do to bring those two factions together? She said the one thing she does when she goes into meetings is she tells everybody, pull out a picture of your child or your grandchild. Whatever you want for that child that you're looking at right now is what you should want for all children. And I just thought that was a tremendous way to look at education in Texas and education anywhere. I'll also compliment, because I'm always calling Dr. Macias, and Dr. Macias, we need to do another session. Would you put it together? And she always does. And it was awesome. And the session that Dr. Henry and Teresa and Leslie was in was almost as good, but it was really good. But what is just fabulous is, and Don kind of touched on it, it was standing room only. And that, honestly, Dr. Macias and I have presented at a national, and there was 7 people. 6 of them were board members. So, of course, they had us the day everybody was leaving. So, but anyway, to see that and to see the enthusiasm in both of those presentations, and I unfortunately didn't make Dylan's either, but Dylan tells me it was wonderful. So that's great. But it was really a good learning experience. And that's one of the things I like to celebrate about this board, is we go to these conferences and we go there trying to learn, and some of what we learn is that we are doing good. So thank you very much.
I think a lot of people just came to see you in those yoga pants.
And we're back to Don.
Thank you, Mr. Covey and Mr. Ryan. I wanted to take just a moment and thank the board for participating in our Team of 8 training on Monday. We had a very brief meeting, and I think a lot of people thought that was the end of it and we were gone. But we had a very good 3-hour session on what standards board members have to have so that their student population will succeed. And we took a little survey ahead of time, and you know what? This board has those standards and believes in those standards and acts according to those standards. So I'm very proud of the whole board for attending our session and for their work to make sure that we do the right thing always for our students. So thank you all very much on that. That brings us to citizens' participation, and I believe we have one citizen that's going to participate. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern or interest to the district other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. I would like to remind the audience and the viewers that the comments of the speakers reflect their own positions or opinions. The board may not discuss or act upon any matter that is not listed in the action item portion of the agenda. Therefore, board members may not discuss the comments of speakers. Please understand that a lack of response from the board does not indicate agreement or approval or disagreement or disapproval of the comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the board, and we do have one speaker tonight. Bob Covey, Secretary of the Board, will be the designated timekeeper. When I call your name, you'll come to the podium over here on my right side. There will be a green light indicating that you have sufficient time to speak. When the yellow light comes on, you only have 30 seconds remaining of your 3 minutes, and when the red light comes on, you need to summarize very, very quickly. Our speaker is Stuart Maper. Mr. Maper, can you come to the podium? If you could give those to Mr. Wickerly right there, we'll take care of that, and he'll pass them out.
Wait till I pass it out.
When you start talking, the green light will go on.
Wait till they pass them out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Dr. Henry and members of the board, thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Stuart Maper. I do business development for C&G for America. We are headquartered in Katy and currently have 5 compressed natural gas fueling stations here in Texas, C&G it's called, including one in Katy located at 24985 Katy Freeway at I-10 and Katy Fort Bend Road. It is located about 14 minutes from your West Green Center Transportation Facility at 2133 West Campus Drive. C&G compressed natural gas is being more widely used throughout the country as an economical, clean-burning fuel for school buses. Just 2 weeks ago, the Fort Bend ISD Board, southwest of Houston, approved the fueling of their new 30 C&G buses with us. They have started fueling at our Katy station until we start building a mobile C&G facility at their Hodges Bend bus facility. We are scheduled to start construction probably next month, barring any delays, which take roughly a month to construct. As a result of the VW settlement in Texas, many people have a share of $206 million of the settlement funds here in Texas. Funds may be used possibly for 25% of the cost of each C&G bus, about $37,000. In the handout packet, you will find detailed information, including a diagram and our mobile facility. Also will contain information about the VW settlement, which in Texas will be administered by Governor Abbott and other grants available through the Texas Emission Reduction Plan, known as TERP. So be a hero to the taxpayers of Cypress-Fairbanks District. Drive clean burning, quiet, no smell C&G buses through your neighborhoods and let Volkswagen possibly pay for a portion of the buses. No need for expensive upfront capital costs of building a compressor. We can deliver the C&G to your transport center and fill multiple buses at a time. The Fort Bend bus drivers were selected by merit to whom gets the opportunity to drive the bus. They really love driving these buses. And we have presented proposals to Katy ISD, who I'm going to meet with tomorrow, Austin ISD, Lamar also. They were interested in further discussion, so please take a hard look at this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Maper. We'll move to the report section of our agenda. We have 3 reports tonight. 5A, the administration will provide an oral report on the start of the school year, and our presenter is Ms. Teresa Hull.
Good evening. As you may recall, our last board meeting was on the first day of school, so we really didn't have a lot of information to be able to share with you at that point in time. So we just wanted to provide you with some real brief information about our enrollment projections, what we're seeing with food services, and also with transportation as we started the new school year. Our enrollment projections are way over what we had originally projected, not way over, but they're definitely climbing. Our projected enrollment was 115,971, and as of 10/11, we were at 116,423, and I'm happy to report that since 10-11 today. We enrolled 7 more students, so we're at 116,430. And just to kind of give you some idea about, those numbers and where our students are coming from. New to Cypress-Fairbanks, pre-K through 12, the total is 14,007. Well, you have to consider that all the pre-K and K students would be first time to CFISD. So when you look at 1st through 12th grade, 6,683 students are new to Cypress-Fairbanks. I know a lot of you have been asking questions about the impact of Hurricane Harvey on our enrollment. Certainly we did not see a decrease in that. But in trying to analyze those numbers and determine how many of those students are result of Hurricane Harvey being displaced or homeless from a flooded area, we had to look at the PEAMS crisis code, and there are 619 students out of our total enrollment that are carrying that PEAMS crisis code. And of those students, 380 were new to the district. So a lot of our increase in enrollment really wasn't a result of Hurricane Harvey, and I think that that's probably not surprising to many of you, because with a community like ours, a school district like ours, people really wanted to stay in the school district, and they just tried to find ways to get to other areas and remain either in their current school, or if they were displaced outside of their attendance zone, certainly filling out the paperwork so that we could provide that transportation. So we really expect our numbers to continue to grow. Dr. Henry actually shared with our district leadership team this morning a news article that he read from Metro Study. It was a 12-month period that was sent out to Houston home builders and developers, and it showed that Cypress-Fairbanks was second in the Houston area with the number of housing starts. And that ended May 31st. And so the first, number 1 was Fort Bend with 3,118, and Katy was third. So, no, fourth, I'm sorry. They were actually fourth. But it really talked about that the quality of the school district is the driving force for home developers and builders determining where they're going to build their next communities. So I think we will certainly see those numbers continue to grow over the course of the year. Those projections are actually geared to be what our enrollment would look like towards the end of October. So the fact that we've met that even this early is a positive sign for the district. Just quickly, our nutrition services, they're really working to rebrand that department and move away from the title Food Services and use the title Nutrition Services. And with their Power Up Cafe, Cypher, I think many of you may have even seen that logo out on the some of the food services trucks that transport food around the district. But just to kind of give you an idea of the work that they have been doing, as you know, we were approved to allow free reimbursable meals to all students through October 31st as a result of the hurricane. And we have certainly seen the growth in numbers of students participating in our lunch program grow. They served approximately 1.5 million meals after the 13 days of operation, and that's a significant increase from the same time last year. You can see that in the next bullet. It was an increase of 63,000 meals from the first 8 days of school last year. So they certainly have been busy. And looking at our free and reduced lunch program, approximately 51.4% of our student population have qualified for free and reduced lunch. Transportation. We are transporting more than 80,000 students around the district, and we certainly exceeded our projections and what the department had determined going into the school year. We had experienced some challenges the first few days of school with new routes that were being driven by drivers. We also were having to accommodate the double busing that was provided for the attendance boundary changes for our high school students. So that was certainly some new transportation routes for our drivers. And then we also had the Joel Hoover challenge in really trying to make certain that we were able to quickly transport students and unload them at those campuses at the same time without creating major traffic jams. And I can't say enough about the work that really the pre-planning that was done from our facilities department, Dylan and Roy and their team, along with the transportation department, even as we looked at the renovation of that campus and how we were going to make that work. And it was really beautiful. It's amazing how well they were able to figure that out and get things running well. But that was, definitely a challenge that the transportation department had to address starting this school year. And as you know, another challenge that we faced, but they quickly responded, was accommodating the Moore students, moving our Moore elementary students to Mojo. That's kind of been the Moore on Jones Road, which was, again, different transportation routes for those drivers, and really trying to accommodate that community. And again, great work by that department. Another area where we experienced some overcrowding on buses and really not enough buses, we've added 4 buses to the Fairfield area since the start of the school year. Many more students elected to take transportation than have been the projections and patterns of those communities in the past. And so we know that that was a challenge for the families in the Fairfield area. But again, our transportation department worked diligently to try to figure that out as quickly as possible and get buses in there to accommodate all of the students in that community. So that's really the end of my presentation. I just wanted to hit on those 3 key areas to just give you some basic information about the start of the school year.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Do we have any questions from board members? Mr. Jackson?
Looking at your first slide, is my interpretation of that correct, that it would show that we have approximately 5% out-of-district mobility rate? When you take a look at the growth in brand new students at the
Christy's my math
at the
person.
level of population, for us to add 6,600, but only have a growth that we know of from last year to this year, is it fair to assume that roughly 5% mobility exists? Yes. I mean, you've got to, obviously, we had those students that graduated and left. The seniors that were here last year are no longer here, and then we added, obviously, whatever the difference is between the pre-K and 12 and the 1st through 12. Right, but that's 6,600 that are brand new to Cy-Fair.
Correct, yes, correct.
If I could just add one thing on that number, though, we know that many of our students do not attend kindergarten in Cy-Fair, so our first grade is always going to be larger, and those students are in our district. So that's the only difference I would say about the numbers that are presented.
Looking at that, I think it speaks volumes about the business model that this district has in having consistent instruction across campuses. We know by looking at the DIP and the CIPs that our actual mobility is much greater than 5%. But 5% is, if that's the number that roll in from other districts, that's where that mobility and change of instruction is significant. Whereas some districts may have up to 30% in-district mobility not involving consistent instruction. So I see this as being a key cornerstone of the business plan of this district, and part of the reason why this district succeeds at such a very high level for students. Thank you.
Dr. Ogletree?
Teresa, I just want to just applaud the transportation department and you and for your presentation because you did not hide the challenges that we had and the difficulties that we faced and how the district had to maneuver and work those, and that says a lot about this administration to just say, hey, we had some challenges, getting to Bridgeland, and there were some late buses, but you can always do that when you are committed to solving the problem, when you're committed to delivering that. And I just want to just commend you all for that, because you didn't have to do it. But it says a lot about our district.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Any other questions?
I would agree with what Dr. Ogletree just said about the challenges with transportation that first week, because I live close to Fairfield and had some Bridgeland parents that had concerns, but when I checked back by the end of the week, everyone was happy. And Matt, your department did a great job of responding quickly. I heard in many cases the next day there were more buses, so thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Ms. Hall.
I just want to add one thing, and I know we've got a lengthy report coming up, but along with what you said, Debbie, Matt and Roy and transportation, all of those folks have done a great job. But one of the things that the community may not know, that because of Hurricane Harvey, we're busing students to other school districts. And we have great cooperative agreements with other districts to try our best to make sure that young people's lives are not disrupted any more than they have to be. So we're running buses all over the place right now, as are other districts. And, you know, I would commend all of the other districts around for working with us to make sure children's lives are disrupted as little as possible. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Our second report, B, the administration will provide an oral report on the bond program, and I believe we have 4 speakers: Roy Sprague, Dr. Linda Macias, Stuart Snow, and Frankie Jackson. Who is starting?
I think I'm elected
Mr.
to start
Sprague?
first. I think I'm going to be the longest, but it's our opportunity tonight to show you all the progress that's been made over the last 3 or 4 years on our bond program, and we're really excited to show you the progress and the quality work that's been done by our facilities department along with the various other departments that support the program. Before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge Matt Morgan and Dylan Brady, if they'd stand up, the unbelievable job they've done in leading our teams to make this happen. So with that, I'll get started. Just do a quick overview. Our bond was passed in May 2014. It was in the price tag of $1.2 billion, and it covered some major categories by the committee of improvements that were included in the final authorization. But we covered security and transportation, student growth, facility improvements throughout the district and touching every single building in the school district, as well as our technology infrastructure, as well as our instructional technology improvements throughout the district. Going over safety and security, these are the items that were included, just summary items that were part of the bond program. It included lockdown panic buttons, reinforced bullet-resistant glass at our entries and some windows. We were working on our improved emergency communications, as well as some additional cameras and some front entry door buzzers. To give you a quick overview, we've got quite a bit of the projects complete, as you can see in the slide. We're working, in fact, back in September, you guys approved a contract for us to do the security vestibules throughout the district. It's at well over 60 campuses. So our team's in the process of getting all the contracts secured and contractors' schedules squared away so we can get that work started and be completed in December of 2018. We've completed our bullet-resistant glazing throughout the district, as well as the card reader, the video cameras, and our intrusion detection panels. The other thing we included, which was kind of a new project for us, is doing new communication towers. That was a first for our team to design and construct communication towers, but we've got all 4 towers completed and they're operational, along with the new radio systems that we're using, radios throughout the district. We're in the process of finishing up the lockdown panic devices throughout the district. We're about 75% complete. And we are basically 94% complete with our emergency call stations. Here's some example pictures. This is the door buzzer system in our card reader at our front entry. So if you've been to our campuses, you have to have a card or you have to be buzzed in and announce yourself, and the campus will allow you to come in at that point in time. At the secretary's desk or receptionist's desk, we have what they call an A phone, and that's the device that communicates with the speaker and the card reader at the front doors. And then here's an example of just the glass. It's hard to show a picture of bullet-resistant glass, but wanted to give you the idea that we're trying to put resistant glass around our vestibules and key locations to make sure our staff and students are safe at the front entries of our building. The radio communication towers, we constructed 4 towers that were located at Cook, Cypress Creek, Cy Woods, and Barker Cypress Transportation Center. And that really has enhanced our radio communications throughout the district, not only for our police department, but our support departments with transportation, food service, operations, and maintenance. And now we have digital radios as a result of that was included in the bond program. The lockdown panic button devices, just an example, we've worked with each of the campuses in our security department to locate these in strategic locations at the various campuses based on the school design. And as you can see in the picture, it's a sample of one of our devices. And they're located in administration areas and other locations in the building based on campus input. Our emergency call stations, if you've seen those blue towers sitting in front of our secondary campuses, you've seen those at our college campuses, Rice University, U of H, and a lot of campuses do that. We felt it was very needed in our district with some of the sizes of our school sites. So we added 2 of these devices at each and every secondary campuses due to the athletic areas as well as at the front of the buildings. Those devices work very well. If there's an emergency on the campus, somebody, if their cell phone has died and they need to contact emergency, they can go hit the push button on this and talk to our dispatch and our police department, and they can dispatch the appropriate emergency services to deal with the situation. Transportation, several of the areas we included buses for restoration of the transportation services to eliminate the 2-mile rule that we had, and we implemented that first year of the bond program. In addition, we've purchased we had included in the bond additional buses to accommodate the student growth, as well as looking at a 15-year replacement cycle for our infrastructure for buses. And then we also included a brand new transportation center as part of that bond program. We're happy to report that the transportation center has been up and running since January of this year. We did reinstate the 2-mile rule, as I mentioned, or eliminate the 2-mile rule, but we do have the 2-mile service now. And then we've actually purchased 397 school buses out of the 436 buses that were included in the bond program, so we're about 91% complete. We have installed all the video surveillance and GPS systems on all our buses. Here's just some pictures of our completed West Green Transportation Center, which is located right directly across the street from Cypress Park near 529. We really work very closely with the transportation department, and I think they've been very pleased with the operation there. And what we did do is we actually relocated our central administration offices for transportation within this facility, so it was custom designed for that. And it's really worked well for Mr. Bill Powell and the rest of his team over there, and have an adequate space to accommodate their needs. And as I mentioned, we completed that in January 2017. Student growth included in the bond program is we had 2 elementaries 57 and 58, as well as middle school 19. Also, we had included was future land purchases that were needed to continue to deal with the growth of the district. We also included an auditorium, an ag science center, as well as a satellite cold food warehouse. This slide here gives you approximate completion of these projects. Most of these projects have been, on the newer side, have been completed. If you look at the slide, we actually opened 3 new schools that are actually being funded by our 2007 bond program, as indicated on the project. And then we're working on the design right now for middle school 19 as we move forward. And as you can see, we have start dates of somewhere in February 2020 as well as 2021 to look at starting the design of elementaries 57 and 58 based on the last PASA report that we had on our demographic study. The board has previously approved us entering into contracts for 2 site purchases, and we're currently in the contract negotiation stage on that, and hopefully we'll have contracts shortly executed, and then we can begin the due diligence of completing those purchase contracts. The West Green Ag Center is also located adjacent to our transportation center right there on West Green and by Cypress Park High School. You see the exterior photograph as well as the interior of all the animal pens that we installed in there. And I think it's pretty full, and we took care of all the animals during the flood as well. And we completed that in August of 2016, and it's been fully utilized. The cold food warehouse, if people were wondering what that building was being constructed over there by Cypress Woods High School, that's what it is our cold food warehouse. And that helps us increase our efficiency with our food distribution on that side of the district, and we transport food from the food production center to this warehouse and then further distribute it throughout the district. Next project. As you can see, you can look at the photographs we have of the interior of the warehouse space. It gives Matt and his team ample storage now to deal with the continued growth of the school district. And that we completed that project in April of 2017. I think everybody has already seen the natatorium that we built right there by Ken Pridgeon Stadium. It turned out to be a really gorgeous facility. It's going to be a great asset for the school district with our competition natatorium. And it was completed in June of 2017, earlier this year. And that's a picture of the interior from the bleachers. That's the front lobby area. Another view of the swimming lanes, as well as another angle of that. But it really turned out to be a really nice facility, and I know it will be well used throughout the district. New Matsky Elementary School. That project is located on Mills Road. We were fortunate enough to have some acreage that we had available from a tax lien issue about 15 years ago that we acquired the property, and that's directly adjacent to our Cypress Creek High School site. And we completed that project this summer and got everybody moved in. And thank God we got that completed because it enabled us to have the old Matsky available for the Mojo and more on Jones Road. Here's some of the interior shots, our front entry, the learning stair. And one of the things we're doing, as you may have seen in touring our facilities, we're trying to make the building a teaching tool. We want parts and pieces of the building to actually be used for instructional purposes. And as you see in this learning stair, not only is that stairwell serve for circulation purposes, but we actually have seating capacity there, so a class could actually sit there and teacher can give a lesson at that location. And we try to incorporate that in all our new designs, not only those learning stairs as well as flexible spaces to give out breakout sessions and so forth to help the teachers and give them maximum flexibility to help our students. That's our gymnasium. The library, and one of the things that was unique about Matsky was the tree, and we actually simulated the 2 trees within the library area. And then science classroom, and as I mentioned, we try to make the building a teaching tool, so we do expose the ceiling and parts of the building in various locations so students can actually see how the power is delivered to that classroom, to that light switch. They can see the different color conduit, fire alarm, PA system, as well as some of the mechanical equipment, and we feel it's a great opportunity for our teachers to utilize as they teach the science curriculum. As we move forward to Bridgeland High School, we're really excited about the final design of this project. It really worked out well. Very unique design. We worked very closely with the Bridgeland developers and in not only locating the site but developing the site. You see the picture on the right. That's a picture of our library, 2-story library space that's located on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Here's a typical standard classroom, and one of the things you'll see in all our new designs is the flexible and ergonomic furniture that we've now incorporated into our building to make sure these buildings are true 21st century learning facilities. And this gives the teachers maximum flexibility within the classroom to set up different groups of students, and it's really worked out well. And we've gotten a lot of good positive feedback from our campuses. Here's a view looking up into our atrium area, the 4-story atrium area in the academic tower. The main street by the athletic and the gymnasiums. And here's another picture of the atrium, just a different angle. On that same site, that 127-acre site, we have Wells Elementary School, which was also completed and ready for school this year. We opened in August 2017. Here's a interior photograph of the Main Street corridor circulation, the gymnasium, a standard classroom. Again, you'll see that same type of furniture that's being utilized in our new facilities. And then a view from the 2nd floor looking down into the library. Hoover Elementary School, this is our pre-K through second grade facility that's located directly adjacent to Joel Elementary School on a 15-acre site we had available right there at the corner of Rebel Yell and Greenhouse. And as Teresa mentioned, we had some very good challenges on the transportation side as we went through the design of looking at various options of how we can get buses to go from Joel to Hoover and back. But Matt and his team did a great job in working through the logistics of that, and Dylan and his team worked through the design side of it and how we can accommodate that to make that a very efficient operation. And it worked like a charm on the first day of school. We were amazed at how well that worked. We were a little nervous about it on the first day, but it went well. And some of the interior shots we have here, we have a learning courtyard. It's one of the things you're seeing we do in our elementary schools. We're trying to create an outdoor learning environment and putting various pieces of architecture out there to allow them students to learn. You can see that we have a big clock out there. We use combination of angles, water cisterns, and solar panels to help the students continue to learn and, again, make the building a teaching tool. Here's our main circulation corridor, as well as some of the flex learning spaces that we build into the design of our elementary schools. Middle school number 19, we're currently in the design development stage right now. This building currently is going to be located at our Hagar site, which is off of 529 in West Green, adjacent to Cypress Park High School. Right now it's scheduled to open in August 2020. And you can see some of the architectural renderings we have, and we'll be coming back to the board in the future to be able to present and do a formal design development presentation, but I wanted to give you at least a little glimpse of some of the conceptual design studies our team's been working on in developing the final design for that project. And we're really excited about some of the features that we've added into this design that are very unique, and I think will be very beneficial for that educational village concept we have at that site. Here's a view of the library as well. A lot of our bond program is the campus and facility improvements throughout the district. We had a combination of various projects from major renovations and additions, as well as we included some program enhancements, as well as asset protection, which is basically taking care of roofs and mechanical equipment, electrical, PA systems and things like that that we have to replace over a series of years because of the life expectancy of those systems. Like a roof, we typically have a 20-year life cycle evaluation of that, and we go ahead and replace those roofs every 20 years if possible. Phase 1 through Phase 3 projects, here's a listing of some of the major renovations and renovations we've undertaken and the status of construction. We have substantially completed all the major additions and renovations, which were performed at Adam, Bain, Watkins, and Dean Middle School. Some of the other renovations that have been completed, Francone, Joel, Goodson, Cy Springs, and Cy Falls are both projects that are currently under construction and will be working through summer of 2018 to complete. I've also listed our our Phase 4 renovation projects for you. Currently, we're in the process of selling those bonds. Mr. Snow's working on that, and once we get the proceeds from that bond sale, we'll be starting letting contracts out and moving forward with the construction phase of these projects. As we mentioned before, is when we go sell bonds typically in November, we include the next phase architectural fees in that bond sale, so that allows us to get the construction dollars to begin the construction phase of the projects, and then it allows our design teams to start on the next round of projects and start doing the design work. And then we kind of let those work parallel, and it enables us to get the projects designs completed quicker. It allows us to give us more time to work with Harris County to get our building permits and try to get these projects started a lot quicker and ahead of all the other construction that's going on out there in the city with all the other school districts' successful bond programs. And that philosophy and that strategy has really worked out very, very well for us. And I've listed the campuses that are scheduled in Phase 5 and then as well as Phase 6. Again, every year we evaluate these. From time to time, we actually shift some of this phasing around based on the needs at a campus. If we have a system that's starting to go bad and we really need to replace it, then we may move that project up in schedule. Here's some samples of some of the pictures of the completed projects. Adam Elementary School. There's a before picture before we started. And now you see the new front entry. Pretty major transformation that went through with that campus. Here's some of the interior finishes, standard classroom. Again, we try to use some of the various types of furniture that gives the flexibility to the classroom. Our new serving line. Again, another example of our flexible learning spaces. Here's the front entry vestibule, the secured vestibule that was incorporated into the design, as well as our library. Moving to Bain Elementary School, here's our before picture of Bain. Here's what Bain looks like now as we speak today. That school went through another major transformation. It really turned out very nice. Both of these campuses, old as campuses they were, we really given a real transformation and really have extended the life of these buildings another good 25 to 30 years above what they've already been we've been using in the school district. Here's some of the interior shots, the new main corridor coming through in Bain, the new library, and you can see to the right of the photograph these little cubby holes. Those are little reading cubby holes for the students. They can go kind of nestle in that cubby there and read books, and I know our principal loves those things. She was so excited. Furniture we included in the project. Here's a new two-story atrium area as you walk into the front of the building, and there's a learning stair located to the right that, again, students can gather there. We can have teachers there, teach a class there, again, giving flexibility to the campus. Here's another picture from up above from the library looking down into the atrium area as well to show the security vestibule as you come into Watkins, how we secure that entry to where it forces them to go into a administration area and then be able to get checked into the facility. Here's a new large group instruction, as well as the library with some new skylights, and we also replaced the roof system at that facility. Dean Middle School. One of the things and challenges we've had at Dean over the years is the portable buildings, and we're in need of additional classrooms. And trying to get permits out of the city of Houston is challenging at best. And so we decided it would be best for us to go ahead and add additional classrooms so we could eventually eliminate those portable buildings, so we wouldn't have to go through the permit process that we had to do when we find a need that, hey, we got to add another classroom. So this really worked out well. We added about, I think it was a total of 16 classrooms at this facility. These are not the most elegant pictures to show you, but it does show you that we worked around the perimeter of the building to add these classrooms where we could, because that's a very, very, very tight site that we had to work with. And unfortunately, as you can see in the picture on the right, the building's fairly close to the street. We don't like doing that, but we didn't have much of a choice in this particular design. That's the only way we could fit the classrooms into the final design solution we had. New canopies by the new additions. And then on the interior, one of the things that's been included in the bond program is in the installation of running tracks at our middle schools. And when we were doing the renovations there, we completed the running track at Dean, and we'll continue forward with doing those middle school tracks as we renovate the other campuses. It's a view from the bleachers. And then on the interior of the corridor of our new addition and some of the new finishes that we incorporated into there, as well as the new classrooms. And then one of the things we also included, if you've been to Dean, we had a very old and very small gym over there, and we were finally able to get this incorporated to where we built a new gym addition, and then we converted the existing gym to other classroom support spaces for the campus, and it really worked out well. Francone, we previously shown you this project where we came in and renovated Francone. We added a bunch of new walls because it was a very open concept plan. We also changed out the carpet and redid some of the finishes, and we also replaced all the furniture in the facility. And I know Tanya has been extremely pleased with the overall building design and how it's worked for her at our campus. Over at Goodson Middle School, we did a interior renovation as well as some mechanical renovations at that campus. That project included a new track. Here's just the new carpet and new finishes of the standard classroom with furniture. Again, some additional views of the new furniture throughout the building and the painting of the facility. Here's the library cleaned up and repainted, as well as we also added a new security vestibule. And that was a pretty challenging project with that one because of the way the front entry was designed, but the team came up with a very great solution to make that work for that facility. Cypress Springs High School, as I mentioned before, is an ongoing project right now, but the work that we completed this summer, if you could look at the old skylight that we have down Main Street, you could see some of the panels. The foyer area was really getting pretty dark, and then now you can see how much bright light we've got after replacing all those skylights and really brighten that space up. We also changed out the auditorium seating, and we also refurbished the gym floors over there. Over at Cy Falls High School, these are some progress construction photographs working through ceilings and some of the other support systems in the building. We worked on the locker rooms in the athletic area, and this is a photograph of just us doing the demo and reconstructing that area. And then there's the completed locker room remodel in the athletic area of the facility. We also, Ms. Hartley, you will be pleased to know we got the dance floor there, so I wanted to make sure we showed that for you. That's what the final product looks like, and we're going to continue doing that and upgrading the dance floors at all our high school campuses. We installed a new culinary kitchen, and also as part of the athletic renovation included modifying the coaches' offices. Holmesley Elementary School. New carpets and new finishes, new storefront was done throughout the building, new ceilings, and various other upgrades in there. So you've seen some pictures of just some of the new finishes that we incorporated into that design. Wilburn Elementary School, again, we did mainly finishes inside the building with new carpet, painting, and ceiling over there. We also replaced the roof at Wilburn, but that's the library, original library, and as we're working through the design and then the final completion on the right side, finished library design with the carpet and the new paint. We also replaced some skylights. As you can see, the difference from the before photograph and the after photograph. And this gives you an example of one of our older roofs that we had with the metal roof system, as well as the coal tar pitch system we had installed. And here's the completed product. And as you can see, we use a white surface roofing material. We've been using this for the last 20 years, and it's really worked very well, and it's very energy efficient for our school district and helps us save a lot of dollars for our utility costs. Thornton Middle School, we did a small project there to go ahead and modify the gym floors. We had some moisture issues with the gym, and our team investigated that, and we replaced the gym floors, and we're working on the rest of the renovations for Thornton Middle School. It's in the Phase 4 bond sale. And then that leads us to Moore Elementary School that Harvey gave us the opportunity to have to come in and renovate. But this is one of the photographs that we got early on as we were dealing with the crisis at the heat of the event. And as you can see, how much water was surrounding Moore Elementary School. When we were able to get in, we actually brought a drone out there to try to fly above the building to get an idea where some of the water was still receding. It gives you an idea of how the water was receding at the campus. And then you haven't seen these pictures before, but when we finally were able to enter into the building, I know I told you all about that when we gave you the emergency board meeting update, but here's some of the sample pictures of what we found after the water receded from the building. And this is just a small sampling, but you see the bulldozer we had in the front trying to get all the equipment, all the water damaged materials, furniture, books, et cetera, that had to be destroyed and as a result of the flooding. And then the picture on the bottom right is we've done all the cleanup. We're currently drying up the building right now. We've got dehumidifiers in there. We still have some high moisture in the brickwork right now. We're a little concerned with that. So we're currently going ahead and cutting out some additional brick right now and trying to dry that out. We might have to replace some or all the brick depending on how quickly we can dry that out. So we're still trying to evaluate that. And as I've indicated to y'all previously, we're still looking at the design portion of what we can do to help mitigate future flooding conditions at this campus. So we're looking at actually lowering the parking lot, replacing it with concrete, and let that be kind of a site detention is one option that we're working with our civil engineers on. We're also looking at maybe digging another detention pond somewhere on the facility to help slow down the flood issues that occur when we have a heavy rain, or significant rains like we had Tax Day flood as well as Harvey. So right now, we're still continuing to evaluate the scope. It's taken us much longer than what we originally anticipated. We were hoping to dry the building out a lot sooner. So we still haven't been able to determine the final completion date, but I think it's realistic to say we'll probably need the rest of this time all the way through the summer of 2018 to get this ready for more and relocate them back to the campus in August of 2018. Also part of the bond program was what we called and referred to with the committee as program enhancements. As I mentioned, we're looking at doing the running tracks at all the 18 middle schools, the dance floor replacements at the high schools, doing food lab renovations at all our high schools, as well as the installation of orchestra shells at our high schools for band and choir. As you can see, we've completed several things. Bridget Stadium was part of this component of the bond program, and that project's been completed. We have completed tracks at Dean and Watkins, and we're going to continue to work on constructing additional running tracks in phases 4, 5, and 6 as we move forward through the bond program. We completed the dance floor replacements at Cypress Falls, and we're going to complete Cypress Springs in August of 2018. The culinary arts program was incorporated into the design of Bridgeland High School. And then food lab renovations, we completed the one at Cy Falls, and Cy Springs is currently in construction and will be completed next summer. And right now, our purchasing department is in the process of purchasing all the new orchestra shells for the high schools, and those will be pending delivery this fall and installed at the campuses. I'm sure some of y'all have already been to Pridgeon Stadium, but here's the before pictures before we started the renovations at Pridgeon. And now you can see what we finished, and just a major transformation. Our team just did a phenomenal job on going through the challenges of the scheduling of this. And if you recall, the tax day flood hit us on this project in April, and we actually had to go in and add into the scope of work the replacement of the field and have it ready for our, I think it was our second football game when we had everything completed for that camp facility. Here's a view from the press box. Also, we talked with the board previously about putting artificial turf fields at all our competition football fields throughout the high schools at the district, and we've completed 8 of those, and we have the remaining 4. Based on our previous presentation, we're now starting the phase 3 of that project, and so we still have Cy Ranch, Cy Woods, Cy Lakes, and Cy Park. We're currently doing the design work on that, and we anticipate getting all that completed in the summer of 2018. Now, here's I think the most important part is where we stand financially. With our projects that we had, we're wrapping up with our 2007 authorization. Right now, we have a final projected savings of about $5.3 million, which we're very pleased to be able to have that surplus savings on our projects. And then as we go into the 2014 bond program, our phase 1 through phase 3 projects, as we're wrapping those up and completing those projects and closing them out, our current projected savings for those 3 phases right now is approximately $11.3 million. And then phase 4, y'all, later tonight, you're going to be approving a contract award recommendation. That's a phase 4 project, and that project is projected to save about $1.4 million. So where we stand today, we're at $12.7 million to the good on our 2014 with all the new construction and renovation work, which I'm extremely pleased to be able to report that to you, especially when you consider you have Hurricane Harvey, all the impact that has, and just the huge construction market that we've been dealing with in the Houston area has been pretty challenging to get the resources out here. And Dylan and his team have done a remarkable job in increasing our contractor participation as well as subcontractor participation, which has really helped us get good competitive pricing for our projects and is enabling us to get these kind of results. This number changes from time to time as we work through projects. Some issues pop up that we actually have to dip into those savings to take care of, but our goal is to continue to have a surplus savings when we complete this bond program. With that, I'm going to introduce Frankie Jackson and ask her to come up and do her part.
Nice to stand up. President Mongoya, Dr. Henry, members of the board, it's my pleasure to give you an update on the 2014 Bond Technology Infrastructure Program. The technology infrastructure is basically all the technology that's in the walls, so all of the fine projects that Mr. Sprague spoke about. Our department has followed his department throughout the entire year working with him to provide the technology that's needed in order to support the projects that he's been responsible for. The technology infrastructure is divided into 6 primary projects, and we've managed them very carefully. And so I will be speaking about what each project entails. The first is the high-speed wireless enterprise system. Second is network electronics. Third is the connectivity to all of our campuses, our power and electrical systems. Fourth is our upgrade to our data center. And then fourth is our telephone system, our upgrade, as well as all of our air conditioning and power, and then the infrastructure in the new schools. So I have a slide for each of the projects. The first being the high-speed wireless access infrastructure. This project was intended for us to go into each of the campuses and to provide enterprise-level secure wireless access. So you can see what we've completed. We now can support up to 3 devices per student and per administrator. At the middle schools, we're providing 2 connections per student, and at the elementary school, 1. That also entails the secured bring your own technology program, secured visitor access, and outdoor wireless coverage. So the only thing that hasn't been completed in some of our schools, primarily the elementary schools, is the outdoor wireless access in some of the middle, alternative, and elementary schools, but we're very, very close to being complete. We expect to be completed within the next month. So with that, I'll move to the second project, which is our network electronics. So within every campus, there's high-speed network electronic devices that basically connect every one of the connections in every facility together. So for example, in Bridgeland High School, it's a 4-story building. If you've toured that school, you've probably seen the master network closet. And then on the second floor right above it, kind of like plumbing, is the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. There's a total of 23 network closets that are interconnecting all of the wireless access points, all of the devices, all the security cameras. Every component primarily runs on the network now, even down to just the building automation systems, all of the telephone systems, all are dependent upon the network. And so these high-speed network electronics are basically what holds the entire network together. So we've installed over 2,000 of those. Third is the upgrade to our connectivity, even the power. Every one of the network electronics are now powered over the network, as well as air conditioning. So you can see that we've installed over 8,000 cable drops, high-speed wireless access cable drops, connecting all of our devices, as well as dual fiber internet connections to our data centers, to our hubs, as well as providing internet access. And then where we're primarily working, if you'll recall back in April, we brought to the board an approval to work through all of our fiber connectivity, connecting each of the campuses to harden and expand to take care of the exposure that we have in our fiber networks. And then there's the AC upgrades, as well as the power. We're getting into every one of those closets and making sure that it has the appropriate amount of power and air conditioning. We're pretty much complete. We are complete at the high school and middle school. At the elementary, alternative, and support centers, we are addressing those along with Roy Sprague whenever we go into the facilities, and we're looking to upgrade the power and the AC at the same time that we're renovating. For our data center, we've made some major headway in laying out our 3 data centers, which we now have. We have a Tier 2 facility, which is at Blau, a Tier 3 facility, which is here in the ISC, and then a co-location facility. All of those data centers are up and running. So we have major systems, dual internet connections at our data centers, and we are working to complete some major components, which include disaster recovery, data auditing, also moving our mission-critical systems over to our co-location facility. The really great news is that during Hurricane Harvey, we sustained a 99.3% uptime, which was almost remarkable. There were many districts in our area that were severely impacted. We tracked our network electronics every day, every hour. We had our staff working to assure that our network was up. As a matter of fact, the greatest amount of downtime that we experienced in all of the closets at one point was we had 9 network switches down. Other than that, they were all up 100% of the time, except for Moore Elementary. So we were really pleased with that. Moving to 5, Project 5. This is the upgrade to our telephone system to voice over IP. That's 100% complete. That was one of the major projects that we had remaining left to complete this summer, so we completed that. Enterprise desktop management, that was actually completed earlier in the year. And then our rotation of our administrative devices on a 5-year rotation. You can see we're right in the middle of 17-18. And also our administrative network printers. We're in the middle of our rotation cycle and doing very well at replacing those devices. We're also following, as I said, the renovation that has taken place in the district, and also the new construction. So this summer, when we looked at what all needed to be done, because in every one of these schools, when Roy Sprague showed the pictures of all the schools, all of the network electronics had to be removed, had to be stored, everything was replaced, reconstructed, and then had to be reinstalled. And so we've made significant headway, and we're able to accomplish all the milestones that we had to accommodate the facilities and construction department. As Roy Sprague said, middle school, we're in the middle of the design. We have middle school 20, elementary school 57, and 58 left to do. So with that, the last slide is our cost summary. The great news is that we have about $22 million left in our budget. We're balancing our budget every month along with the report that comes from finance. We have projected E-rate technology reimbursements close to $10 million, $3 million of which we've already received. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have, or either turn it over to Dr. Macias.
Thank you, Frankie. So you may remember that the last time we did a bond update, I shared with you that we really didn't start purchasing much technology the first year. We were waiting for the infrastructure to, am I clicking? Are you clicking? Thank you. We're waiting for the infrastructure upgrades, and also for the improved high-speed wireless and internet access to be in place. We didn't want to buy all these tools and then our teachers and our staff couldn't access them. You might recall some of them talked about the wheel of death. We didn't want that to be occurring, and so waited to purchase all of this equipment. So you will see in this next slide the update on the standard classroom technology. The last time I talked to you that our standard classroom had a Promethean panel. It had the light speed enhancement system. That's that one where the teachers wear and it projects their voice, and then it had the hover cams and 8 Chromebooks or laptops per classroom, and then the teacher computer. You may recall also that we shared that we have less COWs, those computers on wheels, and more tools in the classroom. And so you can see the percentages that are complete there. So we're making a lot of progress there. We spent a lot of the summer with coming in behind Roy once the renovations were complete to Bain, Adamatsky, and Watkins, and we came behind him and did a technology makeover for each of those classrooms in those schools. And here are some pictures of some of our students using the different technology. You can see Chromebooks being used at Swinky and the Hovercam at Goodson and the Lightspeed FlexCat at Matsky. You may recall I mentioned that's that black tool right there. Teachers, the kids are there with it, and the teacher can just press a button and can listen to the conversations, redirect, or add conversation that is needed to it. I just mentioned our mobile technology, our cows. You can see that at the elementary level, we have completed the purchase of all the cows. We're 100% complete. And now we are beginning, or will begin in early spring, to start delivery at the high school and middle schools, the ELAR and the low classes. So that's coming. You'll notice that in high school, the U.S. history and some of the CTE courses, that the delivery of those tools is postponed, and that's because they have the newest computers that we purchased before the bond. And our library, you may recall last time that I visited with you, I shared that the plan the librarians had come up for technology for the libraries, by the time we got ready to purchase, they were pretty much obsolete. So they've gone back to the drawing board, and they're still working on that. But we have purchased some Promethean boards and some hover cams for the libraries. And then our special campuses, they are being treated just like any of our other schools in the classrooms. They're on the regular replacement cycle, and will get all of the different standard classroom setting as any other classroom. And then you can see there on the far left where we are as far as completion. Here's a picture of Mojo. I didn't know it was called Mojo until right now, but I like it, of Mojo. And this is the library, and you can see the Promethean panels there. And I'd like to, Becky, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but the company that helps with the Promethean boards, Pro Computing, they actually came in and helped us. Is that correct? Came in and they helped us with pulling the technology out of Moore. They called and they were ready to help us, and they did all of that for us. So I want to thank them for that. And then if you look at the new schools, so Hoover, Wells, Bridgeland, and Cy Park, you can see that for the elementary schools, we are 100% done with them. We outfitted those schools. For Bridgeland, we have provided the tools in the classrooms that are actually being used, and then we'll add to it the next year. And then at Cy Park, we added more because they added another class and had more classrooms. And here again, some examples of the tools being used. This is within the first week, actually, of school. So our kids are excited, our teachers are excited, and those tools are being put to use to enhance instruction and to engage it and to make sure kids are learning. The technology labs that we have here at ISC, we're 100% complete with that. You may recall that I shared with you that we are outfitting our technology labs with exactly the way a classroom looks. That way, when teachers come to training, they are being trained on the tools that they have in their classrooms, and they can immediately go back and implement everything that they've learned. And this is our bond allocation, a little over 127 million. We have spent to date about a little over 60 million, so about half of the amount that's allotted. But again, this has been over 2 years, so we feel that in the next 2 years, we will be able to expend those funds and have all the tools in the classrooms. And I believe, Stuart, you're next.
Thank you, Linda. I'm going to bat cleanup now to show you how we have paid for all of those projects that you just saw and more. That first slide that you see here is from the 2004 bond authorization. I know that our report tonight is specific to the projects of the 2014 voter authorization, but in addition to the $1.2 billion of the 2014 bond authorization, we had over $250 million available from the 2004 and the 2007 voter authorizations. And I think it's important to talk about, or at least show you where we are with those authorizations and the bonds that we've sold under those authorizations, because they do have an impact on our debt service tax rate and the rates that we projected relevant to the 2014 bond authorization. And so this first slide, the 2004 bond authorization authorized $713.2 million. In November of 2014, we sold the last of that bond authorization, $35,840,500. So that authorization is now complete and closed out. The next slide is a picture of the 2007 bond authorization. You recall that that amounted to $807 million, and we sold in November of 2016 the last of that authorization by selling a little over $18 million. And so that authorization is now closed out as well. This next slide then is the 2014 bond authorization of $1,209,280,000. And you can see that we've sold bonds from that authorization each year in November, starting in 2014, 15, and 16. The amount that you see there for November 2017, we are expecting, and that's the bond sale that we've talked about recently, that you have approved authorization bond order for $187.5 million that we expect to sell on November the 1st, and then close on that transaction on November the 15th. After the sale of that $187.5 million, we will have $358,810,500 unissued from the 2014 bond authorization. So far we've spent, or we've sold over $850 million of the $1.2 billion authorization there, or a little over 70% of that authorization. We plan to sell the remaining $358.8 million over the next 2 years to complete phases 5 and 6. As you know, and as we've talked about previously, when we sell bonds, we structure the debt service payments of principal and interest to match the estimated useful lives of the assets that we acquire with those bond proceeds. And I just wanted to review that with you at this time. For our facilities, which include the construction of new and renovation of existing facilities, we structure those bond maturities at a maximum of 25 years. Certainly, those facilities last much longer than that, 40 and 50 years at least, but we want to be able to make sure that we pay off the bonds that we use to build those facilities at a much shorter period of time. Our instructional technology, which are primarily the devices that Dr. Macias just talked about, again, we want to make sure that we match the debt service payments of principal and interest to match the useful life of those devices. And so we structure those bonds to mature and to pay off in a maximum of 5 years. For the infrastructure technology that Frankie talked about, certainly the lives of that, everything that's in the walls and under the floor have a much greater or a much longer estimated useful life, and so we structure the bonds to pay off those assets over a maximum of 10 years. And then the buses that we acquire with the bond proceeds, structure the debt service to pay off those buses over a period of a maximum of 15 years. This slide shows where we are with our debt service tax rate and what we projected that to be in connection with the 2014 bond authorization. In that bond election, our projection of the debt service tax rate necessary to pay the principal and interest of the $1.2 billion plus the $250 million that remain from the 2004 and 2007 authorizations, totaling nearly $1.5 billion. That tax rate we projected would be incrementally increase by a maximum of 4.5 cents from 41 cents, as you can see in 2013-14, to 45.5 cents ultimately in 2018-19, and then ratcheting back down to 45.39 cents in 2019-20. Where we are at this point, in 2013-14, as I mentioned, you can see that the tax rate was 41 cents, and that was before the 2014 election. But in 2015, we reduced that tax rate to 40 cents, even though we estimated that the tax rate would be, at that point in time, 41.75 cents. The tax rate has remained at 40 cents for each of the next 2 years, such that the 2017 tax rate that you adopted just last month is 4.5 cents below where we projected it to be for 2017-18, despite selling $1,097.5 million during that period of time. So with that, we would all be happy to answer any questions that you have on any part of this program.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Any questions? Ms. Blackshear?
Wow. I have to tell you, having worked on that 2014 bond committee and all the work that went into it and conceptualizing what the end result would be, I mean, Roy, you and your team have far exceeded what we thought we would be able to do with that $1.2 billion. And the technology, Frankie, just, I hear a lot of happy teachers these days. I remember when we were working on the bond, hearing about the spinning wheel of death when they were trying to put their grades into the system. So, you know, it's all coming together. The security, I see the security when I visit schools, the new buses on the roads, the instructional technology. I can still remember how excited the teachers were to get the Promethean screens. So I really, and I remember, Stuart, how we talked about that we thought we could probably drop the tax rate, but you don't talk about that when you're going forth with an election because we couldn't guarantee it. And what we've been able to accomplish with the money and keep our taxpayers' portion down has just been amazing. And I hope that our stakeholders realize how seriously this district takes the tax dollars and doing more with even what we first thought we would be able to accomplish. So kudos to the entire team, and it's just so exciting every time we walk into a new school and see the results of bond dollars at work and have feedback from teachers that is so positive. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Any other questions or comments on this side? Over there, Mr. Jackson.
Excellent report. Roy, I heard you say loud and clear that we may lose some or all of the brickwork at Moore. Bricks are porous, so is mortar. Do we have any concern of contamination of the bricks and not being able to get rid of that contamination?
That's what we're currently evaluating right now, Mr. Jackson. We do have some concerns, and Dylan and the team are closely monitoring that. As I mentioned, we're opening various holes in the brickwork to try to attempt to dry it out. And we do have an environmental consultant that guides us along the way. And unless he tells us that we've got a clean bill of health there, we may have to consider going ahead and pulling some of the brick out or all of it out. So we're still evaluating that.
Excellent. Thank you for being on top of that. Don Ryan and I had the opportunity to visit with County Judge Emmett recently, and he noted, and I think he notes whenever he talks these days, that the floodplain maps appear to be out of date and need to be redrawn. Will you be communicating with his office as time goes on to see if any of our facilities happen to change as those new maps come out?
Yes, when the new maps come out, we take a look at it and we work with our risk management department, especially from an insurance standpoint, to see if any of those ratings change so that we can capture it from an insurance standpoint and whether we need to do anything additional to that facility in the future.
Very good, thank you. As it relates to technology, if we use the concept of construction cost accounting, are we satisfied that we will be able to build out our technology as projected, more or less with the funds that we have remaining?
Yes, very good question. Particularly, and you saw where we are with our balance of the amount of bond money that we have available to us, in addition to the E-rate funds, reimbursement funds that we're expecting. So I would say absolutely we're on track to do that.
Excellent. You know, Linda mentioned that the librarians had come up with the technology plan, and as quickly as technology evolves, it becomes out of date. Are we able to be sufficiently flexible on our plan to change our rollout if technology changes in an appreciable fashion, or are we locked in?
No, we will be able to change our plan. In fact, we have changed our plan. There were some tools that we had planned to buy, and then we switched over to a different version because it was a better version, a newer version that was going to last longer. And then there's some pieces that the price points have come down, so we'll be able to purchase even a little bit more for our campuses.
Also, you noticed in that presentation that we have in Frankie's that we have a 5-year rollout period of technology for use for both for instructional and for administrative technology and devices. And the purpose for that 5-year rollout is so that we have the flexibility from one year to the next as technology changes. We don't roll that out, all of that one time, that we are constantly looking at innovation in technology and changes in technology so that we can respond to that from one year to the next.
When we put the bond together in 2013 and 14, and so fortunately we're going to have enough funds to address those issues as well.
Thank you. You know, once again, that speaks volumes what we're doing with respect to technology, about the business plan of this district and how this district differentiates itself in the business approach. I know there are others who take opportunities to roll things out immediately particularly in the area of technology. It's always been my experience that that is the most prudent way. And of course, serendipity comes along, and as Linda pointed out, you can take advantage of evolution in that regard too. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any further questions or comments? Thank you all for an excellent report. It's amazing to see all that's been accomplished with our taxpayer funds and what has been entrusted to us. Thank you very much. We have a final report. That is C. The administration will provide a report on the pre-kindergarten partnership planning grant between Cyfair ISD and Kids 8, a Texas Rising Star. Dr. Macias, I believe this is your report.
President Mongoya, board members, and Dr. Henry, I am excited to share this opportunity with you this evening. In the last couple of years, we've had conversations about opportunities to prepare our economically disadvantaged students for pre-K before they even enter our schools, helping close that gap, specifically the vocabulary gap, before they come to us. Some of you have even provided some presentations and served on committees at the state level regarding pre-K and this issue, and have talked about different opportunities that we might look at. Well, last year, right around this time in October, Dr. Henry shared with me a TEA grant opportunity where districts could partner with private daycares to jointly educate and work with 3- and 4-year-olds prior to entering our Cypher schools. He challenged us, as he does so well, to create a program that would begin closing the achievement gap before they even came to us. This has been an exciting journey for us. We applied for the grant last December, and by mid-spring, we were awarded a $450,000 grant by TEA for the pre-kindergarten partnership grant. This grant and the work it entails is quite different from other funds that we've previously received. This is actually the pre-kindergarten partnership grant is actually a collaboration between the Texas Workforce Commission and the Texas Education Agency. And it's to provide funding to support planning and implementation of partnerships with Texas Rising Star for private child care providers. Now, the Texas Rising Star for child care providers or provider is, this is actually a system that's used. It's a voluntary system used for quality rating for Texas early childhood schools that are participating in the Texas Workforce Commission subsidized child care program. And the level 4 is the highest that one can receive. So the state, when they started talking about this possibility, they actually provided us with a list of TRS, Texas Rising Star for daycares, private daycares in the area. And so we contacted all 4 of them, had a meeting with them. This is geared towards the economic disadvantaged students, and so 2 of them immediately told us that they didn't feel they had enough kids for a program. And so we continued on with the 2 and submitted the application, and then another one came back and shared that they also didn't think that they had enough students for a program. But we do have one that we're working with, and we're very pleased and excited that we will be implementing this grant with Kids Are Kids number 8. They're located at 15-30 Forest Trails Drive, somewhere in the Owens attendance zone. And we are very much looking forward to our journey and great works with this partnership. The owner of the Kids Are Kids number 8, Glenn Maxwell, wasn't able to join us today, but the director for the program is here, Jennifer Casares. Jennifer, if you could stand, please, to be recognized. We are very excited about this opportunity to jointly work with the 3- and 4-year-olds at Kids R Us who will be benefiting from the Cypher curriculum. They're actually the only what did I say? Kids Are Kids. I'm sorry, Kids Are Kids, thank you. Kids Are Kids number 8, thank you. Kids Are Kids number 8, so make sure I get that right. They will be the only private daycare who actually will be providing the Cypher curriculum to their 3- and 4-year-olds in its entirety. The partnership allows eligible 3-year-olds to attend the daycare and have a full day pre-K program for this group of kids. And then the 4-year-olds will actually eventually will be attending their Cypher school for half a day, and then they'll get their other half day at the daycare. So essentially, these two groups of kids, 3 and 4-year-olds, will be getting full day pre-K, either through Cypher part of the time and at the daycare the other part of the time. They will have certified teachers teaching them. That's a part of the grant. We will, as partners, we will be working with the director to help select and hire the teacher. We'll be leveraging our assets and resources. We'll be helping. We will be providing the curriculum and professional development and materials that is needed to implement the program. We feel that the partnership has benefits all around. For our families, it'll be increased access to quality pre-kindergarten. For the daycare, it'll be resources that are aligned to the district, and hopefully more families will be coming in and participating in the pre-K program. For us, it's a win-win situation. We'll be getting kids entering pre-K or K that are certainly more prepared, ready, with a lot more vocabulary than they would have had. And for the community, it's another opportunity for us to build more relationships with the district and the community, and also an increased awareness of how important it is to provide early pre-K for economically disadvantaged students. You may be wondering about how the financial commitment works with this program. The first year, this year, the grant is actually in place. So we are working with the daycare with looking for a certified teacher that will be working in this program. We're able to pay for the entire salary for the certified teacher this year. The teacher is not our teacher. It is the daycare's teacher. So you can kind of see how this is different already. The person is not our teacher, it is the daycare's teacher. But we are working with the daycare. The kids are our kids. They will be enrolled in Cypher. And then the second year and the third year, because this is really a 3-year commitment that we had to enter into. So the first year we've got the grant. The second and third year, the money generated for this program is actually from the 3-year-olds that are at the daycare. So remember, they're our students, so they're going to be generating ADA. So the ADA comes here to Stuart, and the first thing that we will do is we will pay any of the expenses that are incurred by the district. In a minute, I'll tell you about a position that we have at the district. And then after that, whatever money is left over generated by these 3-year-olds, then that's going to be used to help offset the salary of the certified teacher at the daycare and any materials, supplies, training, and staff development. So that's kind of the way it works. Money is an exchange, as you probably know. They will submit purchase orders or timesheets for us to pay for this. We have our district expense really is our liaison coach that we have hired, Jennifer Dennison. Jennifer, wave. Jennifer's right here, and she's our employee, and her job is to be that liaison between the daycare and the district. She is the one that's working on the curriculum. She is the one that will be out at the daycare implementing it, training the teachers, modeling, helping with the hiring. Helping with the registration, helping with collecting attendance. All of those things are quite different than we've ever done. We had to figure out, okay, so how are we going to code these kids when they're there and not over here? How are we going to collect attendance? So everyone really had to think outside of the box about how we were going to manage this program. The state didn't really give us much guidance with how to manage the program, because it's really more of an innovative program. They wanted us to design the program, implement it, and then they want to collect a model that they can then duplicate throughout the state. So our next steps now are, we have parent meetings that are happening next week, Barbara, is that correct? Next week, parents, our director was telling me that parents are already coming in and asking about it, and they're excited about it. So we'll have those next week. We're registering kids next week as well. We will, as I said, be helping with the hiring of the teachers. We began looking at materials and purchasing some. We've been working on the curriculum, and then we'll be doing a lot of training and a lot of coaching for the staff there. Another neat thing about this program, or exciting, is that it's for the economic disadvantaged students and training for the teachers, but all the kids there can benefit from it. So that's a really exciting opportunity as well. So we're excited to enter this this journey with the daycare. I do want to share that getting this off the ground has truly been a district initiative. Marnie and her department, what department of what too, helped us with a memorandum of understanding to be able to implement this program. Information services has helped us with how are we going to code them, the attendance, all of those pieces. Student services, how do we register the kids when they really are not at one of our schools. Human resources with the certified teacher piece. Finance, how are we going to do this pass-through piece? They've helped us with that. The ELL department, special department, how are we going to handle kids who need these services? And certainly a primary literacy group who's really taken just a horn, taking this by the horn and move forward. And I want to also recognize Barbara Lewandowski, who's going to be in the center. They're the glue for moving forward with this. So we're excited about it. We're excited of coming back to you next year with some data and then continuing with that. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Macias. Mr. Ryan?
Linda, thank you. This is definitely exciting. When does it actually start?
We our plan right now is to start in the next week or so. After we register the kids, before the end of the month, we will be up and running.
And how many kids will be in the inaugural class?
We have there are 24 4-year-olds and 37 3-year-olds.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And then on the, I want to make sure I understand this, that Cypher ISD is paying the teacher.
The grant is paying the teacher.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes.
The grant, yeah, you're getting technical on me, but that's okay. Been here a long time. Ma'am, I'm sorry from Kids Are Kids. We should have bumped you up, by the way. I mean, you had to sit through a lot. Okay, the grant is paying the teacher, and the teacher is an employee of?
The daycare.
The Kids Are Kids.
Yes.
And Marnie, is there any legal liability with the district on that arrangement at all? If something were to happen that would be considered unfortunate?
It's not our employee. We're providing the curriculum, and we are.
I was just wondering with the pass-through money, if then we have some sort of fiduciary involvement there that they go, oh, hey, Cypher ISD.
We're not the employer, and even if we were the employer, we have immunity for many, if not.
And Mr. Ryan, this was actually one of the criteria that the state had, that this was an opportunity to set it up like this, that the employee belongs to the daycare, and that's why they actually hire them. We do the pass-through money, and that's through either the grant or through the ADA in future years.
Okay, and I was just curious on that, but I do think this is just Tom and I were talking before the meeting, this is really just another example of the innovation that's going on in our district. When you look at this program, you look at the College Academy, the campsite, I mean, it's amazing the stuff that you guys are implementing. They're just benefiting, like Mark says, opportunity for all. So thank you guys. That's awesome.
I will share just real quick too that there were when this first came out, there was a lot of interest, and then among districts, and then when everyone kind of started seeing, ooh, we really don't have just guidelines of how to do this. It's really going to have to be something that you develop. Then some of the interest dropped off, but we are excited about this. I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, Debbie? Ms. Blackshear?
And maybe I missed this, Linda, but for those 3- and 4-year-old students that may need speech services, are we going to be providing those?
We talked about that, Ms. Blackshear, and basically any of our 3-year-old kids who are needing services, we're already providing them here at the district.
Okay, so would they still be at Kids Are Kids, or would they have to come here for the speech services? I'm just a little confused. Okay.
I actually have kids that do get speech therapy from Owens Elementary. The speech therapist actually comes to our campus and does speech therapy there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Covey?
It's a great program. I'm excited about that, just like Don was saying about the other programs we've got, but really excited about this. And I know Tom's done a lot of research into this, and I can tell over there he's been panting. He's ready to talk. But I guess my question is you're starting out with 3 and 4-year-olds, so in 3 years you will have 3 classes that you will have worked with, but we will see those come into our system. So do you see this growing from the interest of the parents? Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, I believe so. Most of the parents that came to me today, just when I passed out the letter, they were just extremely excited about the program because a lot of my kids do qualify for pre-K, but being that we're in the Owens district, they may qualify at their home campus, but they can't get transportation to and from that pre-K program. So with them coming into our facility, they're getting that pre-K, and the parents aren't having to worry about the transportation side of it.
Great. Thanks for partnering up with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ogletree?
Yes, this is a great program. This grant is for 3 years. Is that what you said?
The commitment is for 3 years, Dr. O. The initial money that we got is for 1 year, and then after that, the money is generated from the actual students that are attending the daycare.
Okay. Will Kids Are Kids be the exclusive daycare that we partner with, or will you in January or next fall be looking to partner with others?
We can certainly expand the program, Dr. O. Just remember that the guidelines from the state are the TRS-4. So there's a lot of daycares, but they're not all TRS-4 daycare. So those are the ones that we can consider and work with. But certainly we have opportunities to expand the program. I think I'd like to wait to work through this one and kind of get the kinks out. And again, it's a learning experience, I think, for all of us, and then look at expanding to any other TRS-4 or offering the opportunity.
Ms. Hartley?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about this program. As a former daycare director, I've been through those rigorous processes, where they assess you and everything. So I just applaud your 4-star. I was reading that if one classroom has below a certain threshold, you cannot be a 4-star. So that means all of your classrooms were great. So I appreciate that. I just think it's wonderful thinking outside of the box. We all love pre-K. We've talked about pre-K and preschool, but what do we do facility-wise? The classrooms are different, and how can we adjust to this and offer this? And here's a great opportunity. So I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you, Ms. Hartley. Mr. Jackson?
And Bob, you're right, I can barely contain myself. We actually first started talking about this from a community perspective 2 or 3 years ago in a CLC meeting. And I can't claim any credit for it, I just sat in the back and listened. Truly, this satisfies what the commissioner wanted at being able to build capacity. As a board, we've talked about what would happen if the governor's dream of providing funding actually came into effect. And Teresa said, well, bad news is we have basically no place to put the kids. And ma'am, thank you for stepping up, agreeing to partner with the district. It is a commitment on your part, as well as that of your company. And I'm just thoroughly delighted that you would agree to partner with us. I expect great things to come out of this. And as Linda, you pointed out, what if we can close the gap at age 3? I mean, the potential benefits of this are tremendous. And obviously there's always going to be some unforeseen opportunities, but you all have always risen to address those in a very appropriate manner. So, good golly. And, you know, I'm running out of hats to tip tonight. So well done to all involved. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Hartley has an additional comment.
I got excited, and then I thought I forgot my second thought. I just wanted to say that I see daily the difference that pre-K prior to kindergarten makes, literally. And I just think that the more we can do, we will level the playing field at a kindergarten space rather than waiting till they get older. Yeah. So, thank you.
That's true, Ms. Hartley. Dr. Henry?
Just one quick comment just to tie it all together, and certainly the focus of school districts for students is intervention, but what we've really tried to focus on the last 4 or 5 years is prevention, so that as much intervention is not required. So with Camp Summit, the algebra camp, the daycare partnership now, and then if you think about it, even the early college program that we're beginning, you know, that's getting students started. So we're not just talking about intervening once people are behind. We're trying to make sure they're on level or ahead of the game. So that's really been our focus. And Linda and her team have done such a great job and taken off with that vision and made a lot of great things happen. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. Exciting news. Thank you. We're going to move to our action items. We're kind of almost getting to the end of our agenda tonight. During the course of the Committee of the Whole meeting, it was the consensus of the board that the following action items be approved as submitted or amended. 6A, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of the $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the September 1st, 2017 emergency meeting. And C, the board will consider approving the minutes of the September 11th, 2017 regular meeting. On Monday of this week, the following non-consensus items were placed on the consensus agenda. 7A, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and/or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. 1, automotive technology e-books and textbooks. 2, automotive lubricants. 3, charter bus and travel services. 4, cosmetology equipment and supplies. 5, print cartridges, OEM, remanufactured or compatible. 6, RFID cards. 7, tree trimming and removal. As well as B, the board will consider approving and submitting to the Commissioner of Education a request for maximum class on second reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 1, CJ local contracted services, also an addition. If any board member wishes to remove one or more items for further discussion, please let me know at this time. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended.
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as recommended or amended.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further comments? All those that agree, raise your right hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll move to item F. The board will consider approving construction proposals and documents related to such contracts as follows. 1, the 2017 Alt and Hancock Elementary School additions and renovations. May I have a motion?
Madam President, I move that the board award the construction contract to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contract.
Thank you, Mr. Covey. May I have a second, please? Second, Ms. Blacksher. Any discussion on this item? The motion has been made and seconded. If you're in agreement of the motion, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. G, the board will consider approving and authorizing the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contract related to the following project. 1, 2017 Alt and Hancock Elementary School additions and renovations. May I have a motion?
Madam President, I'll move that the board approve and authorize the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contracts for the listed project up to the recommended amounts.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Hartley. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, if you agree with the motion has been made and seconded, please raise your right hand if you approve. It's also unanimous. That brings us to our training session, and as I mentioned during my board comments, we did have our training session on Monday. So that will bring us to the superintendent's briefing, and Dr. Henry will make comments and provide information on our students, information about all district events and items of community interest.
Thank you, Madam President, trustees, and a couple of you here are old enough to know who Evelyn Wood is.
Yes.
Well, I'm about to do a speed reading on here. And when you got an accent as thick as mine, speed reading is dangerous. So I apologize for what it might sound like. Yeah. Despite a start date pushed back 2 weeks due to the effects of Hurricane Harvey, CFISD classes began on September 11th with approximately 116,000 students filling the halls of 91 campuses. That included 3 new schools, Wells and Hoover Elementary Schools and Bridgeland High School. For those teachers, staff members, and administrators reaching the first day of classes marked an accomplishment in itself this year. 468 community volunteers, roughly 70 more than last year, assisted in the 11th annual CFISD Bus Buddies program during the first week of school. Bus Buddies rode CFISD school buses from 2:45 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the first 2 days to ensure young students were safely transported to their proper drop-off points and locations. Thanks to the extension granted by the United States Department of Agriculture and the Texas Department of Agriculture, CFISD's eligibility waiver, which allows the district to serve reimbursable meals at no charge to all students, was extended through October 31st. This allows the Nutrition Services Department to offer complimentary breakfast and lunches to all CFISD students. The CFISD Guidance and Counseling Department hosted the 23rd Annual College Night on Tuesday, October 3rd, and Wednesday, October 4th at the Berry Center. All 11th and 12th grade students and parents were invited to attend and were able to browse and visit with representatives from over 250 colleges, universities, technical, and specialty schools, as well as all branches of the military and the U.S. service academies. We had around 6,000 visitors, and I will add that we did have freshmen and sophomores there also. And we also invited Katy ISD because of their damage to the Merrill Center. They had to cancel their college night, so we had several guests from Katy ISD that also came over. Governor Greg Abbott proclaimed October 10th, 2017 as Texas Education Human Resources Day to recognize and honor the vital role human resources professionals play in today's workforce. Human resources staff work hard each day to ensure that our schools are staffed with high-quality employees and that those employees have a good work environment. The CFISD Health Expo, underwritten by Memorial Hermann Cypress in partnership with CFISD and the Cy-Fair Houston Chamber of Commerce, will be held on October 14th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Berry Center. This is a community event welcoming more than 5,000 in attendance each year. The expo offers health screenings, flu shots, vendor booths, live performances, including dance and gymnastics, martial arts, and more. The event benefits the Health Organization of Physical Educators Scholarship Fund. The third annual Battle at the Berry Marching Band Contest will also be held Saturday, October 14th at the Cy-Fair Federal Credit Union Stadium. The 2017 event is being hosted by the Cypress Springs High School Marching Band. 8 of the finest bands from the greater Houston area will join 11 CFISD marching bands for the day-long event. Tickets can be purchased at the stadium gates. I would like to remind the board and community sponsors about our Salute to the Stars Gala. On Thursday, October 19th at the Berry Center, the gala is sponsored by the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation. CFISD will support the American Heart Association Northwest Harris County Healthy for Good Heart Walk on Saturday, October 21st at Lone Star College, University Park. More than 4,000 walkers are expected to participate in this non-competitive 3-mile walk or run. CFISD will celebrate Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st. That comes out Wed Wibbin a lot, so that I want to make sure we got that right. The national campaign is designed to encourage healthy, drug-free, and violence-free lifestyles among youth. Red Ribbon Week is the oldest and largest drug prevention campaign in the country. This year's national theme is Your Future is Key, so stay drug-free. I want to remind employees and community members that we will have the privilege to exercise one of our greatest rights, voting on November 7th, 2017. Early voting dates are October 23rd through November 3rd, and Teresa, Nicole, I'm assuming all the early voting sites are on our website if you need to find those. If they're not, they will be. Our College and Career Specialist team and Office of Advanced Academics will present the CFISD Career Options Fair on Tuesday, October 24th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Berry Center. Students in grades 6 through 12 and parents are invited to browse the career fair and speak directly to representatives from a variety of trade and technical schools and programs. And finally, I know we celebrated a birthday earlier tonight, but it's also, tomorrow is Leslie Francis's birthday. So we want to wish Leslie a happy birthday. And of course, as was bragged on Leslie earlier about her presentation at Tassa Tasby, Leslie's also done a tremendous job in increasing our business partnerships and our Adopt a School program, and she's just had a great positive impact on the district the last couple of years. So thank you, Leslie, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Leslie. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. This concludes our meeting, and we'll see you in November. Thank you.
November, can you believe that?
Yeah.